Councilmember Panduro is absent. Councilmember Tonneson?
Here.
Councilmember Vaccaro?
Here.
Councilmember Williams?
Here.
Vice Mayor Bertani?
Here.
And Mayor Moy.
I'm here, and our invocation tonight will be presented by Pastor John Reed from the Fairfield Church of Christ.
And proud Fairfield Clergy Action Network member, welcome.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Please, let's go in prayer. Dear God, we thank you so much for yet another day. You blessed us, Lord, to do the various and many things that we have set out to do this day, and you brought us to this place safe. Lord, we come to you in the name of Jesus, your Son. Our hope and of our salvation is because of him we can stand in your presence tonight, and we give you thanks for all the goodness that you brought to the city of Fairfield. Lord, we don't take for granted the blessings that you give to us. We thank you, and we pray, God, that you will continue to watch out and protect us each and every day of our lives. We thank you, Lord, for giving us the leadership with the wisdom and the ability to recognize that you are needed and present in all that we do. So therefore, God, we ask your wisdom this night upon this council, upon those that have gathered here today, and may this meeting be conducting in a way that it will continue to foster community and kindness amongst one another. Father, we just pray for all of our servants that have taken time out of their lives and volunteer for us every day and every night. May you continue to bless them and watch over and protect them. Grant us this night your blessings and your presence. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. And Madam Vice Mayor, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Please join me in saluting our flag. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now we're going to turn to council reports, and I'll start with Councilwoman Williams today.
Thank you. I like going first so I can use all the time. I'm kidding. Thank you, Mayor, and welcome to the community for being here. There's 3 things that are on my city council report. One is the ribbon cutting, and I know quite a few of us went there, the Fairfield Volkswagen ribbon cutting, and I bring that up because in driving there, I remembered a few years ago, I guess it was during the pandemic, where it was looking pretty vacant over there on Auto Row. I almost feel like I saw burrs and hay in that parking lot. And the fact that, we have dealerships that are investing, because it costs money to rebuild, dealerships, and invest in cars and all that. So, and Fairfield gets a pretty nice tax revenue from car sales. So anyway, just want to bring that up. The second thing is I have been doing different tours of Fairfield with different people. I did one with Tony Wade, who wrote this book, growing up in Fairfield. So it was really cool just driving around town with him and him giving me, really great historical context. Even though I've lived in Solano for over 20 years, I've only lived in Fairfield for closer to 8 or 9 years. So that was a lot of fun. I also went with Brooks Peddler with CBRE, and we went of a tour of industrial parks and business centers, and I just learned so much. And then I did a tour of Can Be Solano with Carrie Reeder on Union Street, and I don't know if she calls it a homelessness navigation center, but that's what it is.
Yes.
And so I was able to really see her set up there for the homeless community. It was pretty eye-opening for me. And then the third thing I want to report on is the meeting that Mayor and Councilmember Carr, we had are we calling it an ad hoc emergency housing committee?
Yeah.
Okay. So we had this committee, and what I loved about it is, we had a little bit of difference of opinion, but we were able to come together, talk through, look at this draft NOFO that the Housing Division put together. I don't see them here. April Cobb and Samantha Burrows is the director of the homelessness division. But we were able to really come together, talk through that process. And in my mind, I think we came out with a stronger process in general for our RFPs, NOFOs. And so that's a meeting that I totally want to have with the city manager to see if some of those things that we came up with, if we could continue it forward going forward to make a stronger, more equitable process. And so that's my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman, and it was a great experience, and I agree with you that we should continue down that road on different NOFAs or whatever we're putting out, because there was a great addition there from the electeds in this case, so it was great. Thank you. Councilman Coniston.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, most of us were at the farmer's market ribbon cutting. It was a really good turnout. Farmers market, this was one of the bigger grand openings that I've seen in past years, but really looking forward to that taking off, and looking forward to the folks there going downtown and dining at the downtown restaurants. A lot of them are offering 10 to 15% off, or maybe it's 15 to 20% off, but they're offering discounts for the day of the market. So if anybody wants to frequent the downtown restaurants, Thursdays at 3 o'clock to 7, it would be the time to do that. And then what I did learn at the VW grand opening that a few of us attended, the mayor and Kay Patrice, is that Audi has moved in next door. So we've got a Volkswagen and an Audi down there.
Yes, sir.
Then I attended the Suisun City's Cinco de Mayo, really good turnout there, a mix of different electeds from the different cities. So, it's nice to, get with our neighbors and, all come together when we need to. So that's it for me, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Vaccaro?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just real quick, anyway, welcome everybody. It's always great to see a full chamber here. A couple of events I did, actually, Councilman Tonneson and I were at the drug buyback about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I think it was, right? Yeah. And it's the first one I've been to in a long time, and I couldn't believe the amount of drugs that people bring in. I mean, it was a ton. I think we both held bags full of them. Yeah, it was pretty incredible. And thank you for the citizens that did that, that brought it in. Yeah, because it's really important to get that off the street. Yeah, and that, and also Blues and Brews was 2 weeks ago. Another successful event downtown. A bunch of us were there, 12 to 4. It was great for the kids, too. My grandkids were there, and there was a bunch of games for them to play. And so it was just not for adults. It was actually for kids, too. So they had a lot of fun. And I was at the farmer's market just for a little while, as that was important because I have to go every year, and it's important that we go every year because it's an important event. And that is my report for tonight.
Thanks so much, Councilman. Madam Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I want to thank you as well for taking your time to be here this evening with us. It's always a better meeting when our bosses are here to help us make good decisions. We work for you. So thank you for joining us here. Thank you for everybody watching from home. And I would just like to say that the Clergy Action Network, or Fairfield CAN, hosted the National Day of Prayer last Thursday here in Council Chambers. And it was wonderfully attended. We had representatives from Liberty Church, Chaplain Stephen Richardson from Travis Air Force Base. We had representatives from City Church, Grace Episcopal Church, Fairfield Seventh-day Adventist Church, Fairfield Church of Christ, our police chaplain, Chaplain Greg Angan from the Fairfield Police Department, and we had many people in this chamber praying. And those kinds of events, I think, linger on this place. And so I just want to thank everyone who participated. Next year, we're going to have the National Day of Prayer. We're hoping to have it outside in the garden area outside here and in open fresh air. So it was a great event, really thankful for the turnout, and many more of those to come. And I also want to remind everyone that we have a homeless roundtable coming up. We've been working on this matter now for decades?
Yes.
Yeah, for decades. And I would challenge any city in Solano County, and quite frankly, the Bay Area, to put in the kind of work and the kind of assets that we have to get people in housing and off of our streets, because that is not where we want people and their families living. So Homeless Roundtable is on Wednesday, May 29th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and that's at Willow Hall?
Yes.
That's at Willow Hall. So I'll be making is it Willow Hall? Yeah, right across the way here. Once again, Wednesday, May 29th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Come on out and be a part of the solution. And that is my report, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, and Councilman Doug.
Hey. Well, everybody, you know, the thing about, we all do the same thing, so most of my thunder have been struck. But I also attended everything that was spoken of, but I went up and got to spend some time with our congressman at his ranch, and what a beautiful place. And just a shout out for him for a real nice barbecue we had. And also at that, if you register for the homeless meeting at Willow Hall online, you can get lunch too. They will have sandwiches, and it's pretty good. And that's about my report, Mayor.
Did you want to talk about the new restaurant downtown?
Yes, Saigon, it's wonderful. If you guys haven't tried it, and it's real good prices, lunch is like $13.
Yes, very good. And today I want to welcome everybody here, including a lot of our city's employees. Pardon me. The people who keep the city running. That includes everything from making sure that our water is clean, to our transportation, to police and fire. I have a tickle in my throat, excuse me. So I welcome you. Councilman Tonneson and I were at an event earlier today, and many of our folks got commendations from the city manager and for their time here. And we could not do anything that we do without them. So it's really great to have you guys here. The next thing is I have to mention that tonight we have our assistant city manager here, Savita. And Savita is one of the most awesome folks. And I just wanted to say that she won the California Women Leading Government Career Achievement Awards from the Municipal Managers Association of Northern California. So I just wanted to speech.
Well, thank you, Mayor, for the
Yes.
acknowledgement, and I'm really humbled and honored by this award. I wasn't expecting this, and I always believe in, I do my job because I have wonderful employees behind me supporting every day, the support of my senior leadership team, and we have an amazing city manager. I have a very good working partnership with him, and we are leading the organization together with the guidance from council. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and again, congratulations. And then I have been getting a lot of phone calls that has to do with Red Top Road, and that it isn't finished yet. So I have a couple of questions. Do I ask you, or you want to bring somebody up,
Yeah,
or about Red Top Road?
I do believe we have our Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Yeah, he's our engineering.
You got the short
deputy-
straw tonight.
Deputy Public Works Director.
Yeah, well, all right. So, there's been a delay. There's a delay. And so the public wants to know, and so do I and all of us, why? And also, what can we do about it? Because I recall that it was supposed to be done by the end of last year. So what's going on?
So as you've mentioned, good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, Ryan Punganeven. I'm the Assistant Public Works Director and City Engineer. So as you mentioned, Mayor, the city has executed a development agreement with the developer to complete 2 improvement projects by December 31st of 2023. So those 2 projects include, first, a domestic water pump station, and then second, the actual widening improvements to Red Top Road. So on the first project, the new domestic water pump station, it's approximately 90% complete.
Okay.
Unfortunately, over the course of time and the construction, the project has been vandalized. A couple break-ins have occurred at that site where electrical components, switch gears, panels have been stolen. So we have had to order new parts and pieces. This most recent break-in had occurred at a time when we were very close to energizing the new pump station, bringing it online, doing the startup and testing and commissioning. And unfortunately, it was broken into, and we had to, in essence, repurchase that material and get that going. So the staff and the developer's contractor have been working together to get those parts and pieces ordered. They're coming into us as soon as we receive those. It's about 2 weeks time frame to get them reinstalled. There again, we have to call out PG&E to do the energization testing and all that work. That's an important component, the domestic pump station, because there's piping and existing valves that are located within the roadway itself. And in order for us to abandon the existing pump station, we're going to have to excavate and complete the valve and underground work also. So we need to complete and make sure that pump station's operational prior to us paving and completing the road, because in essence, we would be ripping up brand-new pavement if we were to do that in advance.
Okay.
So in order for us to accelerate, one of the things and options we're exploring is extended working hours when we get to doing the civil and excavation work. So maybe weekend work, longer term time for the contractor. Earlier this year, they have been experiencing weather delays and what have you. So if we could accelerate the construction contract for them to work a little bit longer, that would be one way for us to accelerate.
Okay. What about the widening itself? I mean, I understand the pipes underneath and all that, but what about, yes, the widening?
Based on the information that we received from the contractor, and they've been holding off on doing the temporary striping work and opening that roadway until there was a plan in place for us to get the pump station done, so they don't have to remobilize again. So it's 2 separate contractors completing the work. One is the pump station contractor, the other one's the civil grading roadway construction contractor. If they were to mobilize now, it would be an additional cost in essence to do today. So we don't have a schedule for when they would come in and do that.
Would it be a cost to us or to the developer? Wouldn't it be the developer?
That is included. That would be an additional cost that wasn't accounted for, just like the vandalism wasn't a cost.
Of course. I just think that it feels like this is dragging on and on and on, and our Cordelia residents out there, they have also the other end with the road a mess, and it's become very difficult for them. I know that Councilwoman Williams can tell you all about it, but I've been inundated. Is there anything that we can do to pressure the developer to move forward? They violated the development agreement, it sounds like to me. I don't know.
So
I'm
we
not a
have-
lawyer, I just play one on TV. But yeah, right?
So
Maybe, Mr. City Attorney?
Sorry,
I mean, if you violate a development agreement, can't you push somehow?
So, Madam Mayor, I have been discussing this matter with my staff have discussed this with Public Works staff. I'd prefer to give you legal advice on this matter in closed session because
Okay.
it does involve potential litigation.
Oh, boy, okay.
So if you like, we can schedule it for a closed session, and I can brief the council if that's your
I
desire.
absolutely I'm going to schedule a closed session so we can discuss it there. And I appreciate you coming up today to tell us, and we'll get some more answers there and see what we can help the public with as far as let's move along. Thank you so much.
Mayor?
I know it's not staff, I get it, but thank you.
Mayor?
And- Yes.
Can we, in the meantime, not discussing what we're going to do with it, but is there options to get, I know we have portable cameras or game cams or something up there that, I'm pretty sure we have one with the city. I don't know if that's something that would work, but just a thought.
We've been working with our police department to see if we could have enhanced presence out there in addition to doing, like you just described, additional security at the pump station, so that those are in discussions. And I do want to say I left out, as soon as we've been pressing to get a construction schedule for the ultimate completion of the project, and once we have that, we will share that with the community.
Well, that's perfect. Now, what are they stealing in there? Is it copper? I mean, what are they stealing to?
So it's the electrical pieces, so like the panel, it's the actual equipment that's connected to like the panel, the switch gear, those type of things.
Okay. All right, thank you so much.
Mayor?
Yes, oh, yes, Councilwoman.
First of all, thank you for bringing this forward. I've been getting inundated as well.
Yes.
But my question for you, Ryan, is could you also check the plans? Because I thought it was two lanes in both directions. And I'm looking at it and I don't know how that's 2 lanes all the way through. That looks like combined to 1 lane. So if you could check that.
Yeah, so I can answer that question. So as it goes into the underpass over the freeway, there's structural upgrades that need to occur to the underpass. That's a future phase of a Interstate 80, 680, 12 Caltrans project. So at its terminus at McGarry Road, where it widens out to 2 lanes, that's the terminus of the project. It's not gonna go all the way to Jack in the Box and the gas station.
Yep, understood that. It's actually the other ends.
The other lanes
It's the other end.
lanes are wide enough, so it's a 2-lane, 12-foot wide with bike lanes.
I'm no engineer, but I want you to look at it.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know how 2 cars would go in that lane and that. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And thank you again, Ryan. I appreciate it. Ms. Assistant City Manager, do you have a report?
No, I have nothing to report.
Any changes to the agenda?
I haven't heard.
Okay,
Are one of the council members planning to change any of the agenda items? Okay.
nothing? Oh,
I don't know if this is where I tell you, but I do have a question about something on consent. Do
okay,
you-
we'll wait till we get to consent. That's perfect. And, yeah, thank you, Mr. City Attorney.
Only change that I see is the council is also meeting as the Paradise Valley Maintenance and Monitoring District Board and has one consent calendar item noticed as item number 5. There have been members of the public who've asked to speak on public comment on an item not on the PVMMD agenda. So if anybody wants to speak on the public comment as to PVMMD, they can do so at the regular public comment time. And we'll do it as both public comments for both the board and the city council.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Madam City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank the Student Council of Sheldon Academy. They adopted Woolner Avenue and held their first cleanup. I also wanted to thank Anna Patero and Ruth Clausen and their crew, Stephen Edmondson and Gold Ridge Neighbors, June Johnson and the Rolling Hills Network, Michael and Peggy Richardson, who clean up almost daily on Beck Avenue. And that's it, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so now we'll go ahead and turn to presentations, Madam Clerk, if you will, please.
Yes, Presentation 1, Proclamation Declaring Asian and Pacific Islander Month, presented by Councilmember Rick Vaccaro to Hermie Sunga, former Vallejo City Council member and a member of the Solano County Phil Am Chamber of Commerce.
Okay. So this is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, May 2024. Whereas in 1977, Congress introduced a resolution to proclaim the first 10 days of May as Asian Pacific Heritage Week, a celebration of Asians and Pacific Islanders in the United States. And whereas in 1990, President George H.W. Bush signed a bill passed by Congress to expand Asian Pacific heritage from a week to a month-long celebration, and in May 1992, the month was permanently designated as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. And whereas the month of May was chosen to commemorate the immigration of the first Japanese to the United States on May 7, 1843, and to mark the anniversary of the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869, as the majority of workers who laid the tracks were Chinese immigrants. And whereas the history and cultures of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are inextricably tied to the story of the United States of America. And whereas we acknowledge these Americans for their significant contributions to education, government, industry, commerce, agriculture, science, literature, and the arts. And whereas there are approximately 21 million Asian Americans or Pacific Islanders living in the United States, with 1/3 of those living in California. And we acknowledge the historical and cultural contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the development of the state of California. And whereas in Fairfield, over 18% of the population identify as Asian, Filipino, or Pacific Islander. And whereas the Asian American and Pacific Islander community is a rich and diverse population composed of nearly 45 distinct ethnicities and over 100 language dialects. So now, therefore, I, Catherine Catmoy, Mayor of the City of Fairfield, do hereby proclaim the month of May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and I encourage citizens to learn about the significant contributions that these Americans have made to our great nation and our city. So I'd like to give this proclamation to former Vallejo City Councilman, and I believe you're the Vice President of the Philam Association, is that right? Solano County, and Mr. Hermie Sunga. So Hermie.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Mayor, for this proclamation. Vice Mayor, council members, staff, thank you for recognizing the contributions of Asian Pacific Islander in the county of Solano. Overall, in Solano County, we have 17.4%. You just don't notice us because we don't make waves. We just work, contribute, and help whoever wants help on. And that's what we are. We don't want to make noise. We don't want to be recognized as much as we want to recognize other people, another group. But this is something that's special to us. So I know you have a pretty loaded agenda, and when I was council member, I see somebody on the stand with this agenda, I'd probably kick him out. Don't talk that much. So in respect to the council and the agenda and the people around here, I just want Madam Mayor to thank you and your council and your staff for this proclamation in behalf of the Asian Pacific Islander of Solano County.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
And our second presentation, proclamation declaring Public Service Recognition Week, presented by Councilmember Doug Carr to Human Resources Director Farbode Perusman.
Yeah, Public Service Recognition Week, May 5th through the 11th, 2024. Whereas Americans are served every single day by public servants at the federal, state, county, and city levels. These unsung heroes do the work that keep our nation working. And whereas public employees take not only jobs but oaths. And whereas many public servants, including military personnel, police officers, firefighters, healthcare professionals, and others, risk their lives each and every day to serve the people of the United States and around the world. Whereas public servants also include workers who maintain our parks, our roads, traffic control, water quality, and public buildings, as well as provide important local recreational programming and plan for the future growth and economic development for our community. Day in and day out, they provide the diverse services demanded by the American people of the government with efficiency and integrity. And whereas without these public servants at every level, continually working would be impossible in the democracy and regular changes, its leaders and officials and elected officials. Now, therefore, I, Catherine Cap Moy, Mayor of the City of Fairfield, do hereby proclaim May 5th through 11th, 2024 to be Public Service Recognition Week. All citizens are encouraged to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of government employees at that level to thank them for their service.
Thank you. It's a distinct honor, before I drop everything here, distinct honor to be able to accept this proclamation on behalf of all wonderful city employees. It's really a pleasure, and I have to do a shout out to David White for hiring me in the first place to be here and be along with these wonderful city employees and the contributions they make every day and the sacrifices they make every day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilman Doug.
And our next presentation, Employee Recognition Ceremony by Human Resources Director Farbode Peruzman.
Doesn't he?
So I'm going to ask the City Manager, Savita Chaudhry, to do the presentation, and I will help with the videos. I want to make sure I get the right one first. Oh, this one. Yeah. Yeah. That's all I got to do.
Hi, my name is Lynette Syme. I'm the Senior Transportation Technician with FAST. And during the microtransit implementation, my role was to keep everyone on task. I kept a detailed timeline of the project at hand, including all the details. My role also included customer relations, writer notices to inform the public of the implementation and the different changes coming from schedule changes to route changes to the implementation of microtransit. I also was instrumental in the new design of the fleet for FAST, as well as the new bus stop signs out in the field. Receiving this award is an honor, and for Diane to recognize all the hard work that we put into this award means a lot. And I am very grateful for Diane as our leader, as well as my team members.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Parker, and I am Management Analyst for FAST. So since starting here from last April, it has been quite the ride. Things happen fast around here. I've been able to bring a lot of my creativity, especially for the new website, social media, creating Canvas. We even have a running joke that I've got a Canva for that. But it's been fun to learn the team, to learn about the new changes, especially for new fares, routes going away, and the implementation of microtransit. I enjoy working here because of the partnerships. I've been able to work with so many different folks from the city, Jeff in IT and Kim over in Public Works. It's just been so much fun to get everybody together and to provide a service to the city and to really highlight what we do over here. Fast Connect is our newest microtransit. How we do that as a team, we bring so many different things together to really shine and just, make changes in the city. Genuinely surprised when we got the email about the nomination and the award. I've only been here a short time, since last April, and there's been a lot of changes that I've been able to be a part of, but it just shows a good manager can recognize good work even when you've only been here a short time. So I feel grateful that I've had Diane as a supervisor and how supportive she's been in my transition over to FAST.
Hi, my name is Ron Bremer, and I'm a Public Works Assistant for FAST. My experience with the implementation of microtransit is kind of unusual because I used to work in the private sector for the contractor MB Transportation that operates our buses. So I bring that operations experience, what the drivers expect, what the drivers are used to, what they see on the road from the traffic conditions and the turning radius and stuff of the buses. Plus, I also bring the customer service aspect to the customers and passengers that enter our front lobby to buy bus passes, to get information, to give us phone calls over the phone and stuff like that for the implementation and changes. So having Diane recognize us as a team for this service that affects the entire city was very impressive, because transportation is essential to everyone in the city of Fairfield.
Hi, I'm Sean Vigil. I'm currently the operations manager for transit here at FAST in the city of Fairfield. I oversaw and currently oversee many of the planning activities, operations, and the grant funding for FAST, as well as capital projects. I took my experience previously working on COAs, comprehensive operation analysis, at my previous job, and worked closely with our consultant to determine the best vision forward for FAST, as well as to implement this new microtransit model that it's fairly new to the industry and that we've never done. So that took a lot of planning. I managed the RFP process to select a vendor that currently helps operate or run the microtransit system. So that was kind of a lot of my role during the past couple of years in relation to this award. We have a great team. We work well together. We have fun, but we, get our work done and produce, I think, a great service and product. And I really feel fortunate to have worked with Diane. Actually, she's been here since I've been at FAST and has kind of mentored me. And I think I'm the employee that I am because of her. So I kind of see this award as a reflection on her as well. And receiving this award, I'm not really one for the spotlight. I kind of like to, be behind the scenes. So getting this recognition, it feels good and it's very validating.
All right. I would like to recognize the success that was celebrated today. Each and every one of our employees bring their unique value to the organization, and we make collective successes together. And the process for the employee recognition ceremony is there's nominations that are submitted by their coworkers. There's an employee committee that reviews the nominations and make their recommendation to the city manager. And then city manager selects the commendation award for the individuals in the team each year. So this first award for the Fast Forward team, I would like to invite Sean Vigil, Lynette Sim, Ron Bremer, and Lindsay Parker from the city's Public Works Transportation Division for their commendation. Their work on Fast Forward initiative was a successful implementation of a 10-year strategic plan called Fast Connect, which reinvented Fairfield's transit system. After COVID pandemic, there was a drastic drop in the ridership as well as the revenue. Sean, Lynette, and Amber Villarreal played key roles in strategizing and implementing the project, rapid service changes to address the pandemic's impact. They also worked tirelessly to evaluate ridership needs, adjust the services accordingly. Sean ensured critical customer service was accurately updated, the information, while Lynette oversaw the marketing efforts and the website information. The Fast Forward initiative also involved community outreach, including virtual meetings, pop-up workshops, and surveys. Sean, Lynette, Amber, and Ron, they were instrumental in coordinating and implementing these efforts. There was consultation with City Council and approvals that were also crucial in driving the initiative forward. There were 2 phases of the project. The phase first involved fare increases and elimination of paper passes, as well as implementation of the microtransit scheduling system. The phase 2 included the deployment of the microtransit services in specific zones, along with training programs and infrastructure updates. Lindsay Parker's contributions to the public outreach and website revamping, they were vital for the success of the initiative. Despite the loss of our operations manager, Amber, the team persevered, and Sean stepped in as the interim operations manager. Fast Connect Pro is also offered through flexible routing and scheduling through a smartphone application, which reduces the wait times and increases accessibility for our riders. So congratulations to our Fast Forward team. So the next award we have is for Tiffany Bossy.
My name is Tiffany Bossy, and I am an HR analyst. In July of last year, Patty Romy retired, and she was our HR manager, and she had a big role. She had a lot of duties, and I had to absorb some of those duties. A lot of those things I had no experience in at the time, so there was a steep learning curve for me. We also onboarded 2 new benefit techs who they didn't have their manager, and they also didn't have a lot of experience in benefits. And so that fell to me to make sure that I could guide them and answer any questions that they had. At the same time, we also onboarded a new HR analyst who, although they had great foundation in HR, they didn't have the private sector. And so it was just this kind of culmination of a lot happening at one time, absorbing these new duties, and then also making sure that the new members to my team were also supported. And so it was overwhelming, but we got through it, and the team was wonderful, and we moved forward. I love working for the city of Fairfield because of my team. Their strengths complement my weaknesses and vice versa. And so I always know that I have support in anything that I have going on, and I can always bounce ideas off of them. And hopefully they know that they can come to me if they need anything as well. So I was surprised to learn that I won the City Manager Commendation Award. And I was very honored that I was nominated by my team, and they felt that I had done this great job. And overall, I'm just really thankful to receive this.
Congratulations, Tiffany. She was awarded this award. She was with the city for less than a year when the other manager, what was her title? Sorry, I forgot. One of the HR managers, she left the city, and then Tiffany was called in to fill for those positions, and she also effectively managed additional responsibilities along with training the new hires. In the same time, we had hired a couple of employees from the private sector, so she played a crucial role in onboarding not only the new employees, but also providing invaluable information for them to navigate the nuances of the public sector. Tiffany also has always displayed high level of professionalism, dedication, and problem-solving skills. She has significantly improved the process adherence and team efficiencies, this makes her an indispensable asset to the HR department. She truly reflects the council goal of organizational excellence. Tiffany? The next presentation is for Yulia Elbow.
My name is Yulia Elba. I'm a financial services manager. My duties, everyday duties, include a lot of things. And one of the major ones that I am currently involved is payroll processing. And when I came to this city, we were in the beginning of implementation Tyler units for payroll processing function. And there was a lot of anxiety, a lot of, unfortunately, mistrust to the system, to the new processes. And my focus this whole year was to elevate that anxiety and to bring people back to trusting the system, to trusting us in doing it, to avoid as many errors as we can, to make the whole process as smooth as possible and to pay them not only timely but also correctly. The thing that makes me excited about my job is that it has a lot of pieces in it. And while payroll processing, payroll overseeing this function is one of the biggest pieces, I do have other responsibilities. And this makes me excited that I have every day something to look forward to learn a new process, to be involved in understanding things that maybe I've never seen before, maybe I've never learned, to make changes, to make things better, to learn from others. And I think this is what makes me excited to come to work every day. When I learned about receiving this award, it took me totally by surprise. I had no indication from anybody that I was nominated. And the way I feel about it, it's not just my award. I'm beyond being grateful for being recognized for what I did, but it's not just my award. It's a award of our whole team who worked together to make this process better. Of all of our payroll team, Sheila, Teresa, Anna, of the HR who was very supportive, my director, John Furtada. It's an award for all of us, for our budget unit who was supporting us, IT who was behind the scene doing whatever was needed to be done. So it's an award for a lot of people working together. And I am really grateful that this job was recognized.
Yulia was awarded this for her exceptional performance. She successfully managed the transition of a new payroll system, addressing configuration challenges and discrepancies while leading cross-departmental efforts to find a solution. She also took on recalculating and re-reporting CalPERS contributions for multiple years, demonstrating her strong work ethic and technical expertise. Despite facing numerous challenges, she worked relentlessly several nights and weekends, including system implementation, historical reporting issues. She consistently delivered results and provided mentorship to her team, showcasing her invaluable contributions to the organization. Congratulations, Yulia. For this last award, we don't have a video, and our sergeant was unable to join us today, but I would like to read the nomination for everyone. Sergeant Robert Pirro is nominated for the City Manager's Commendation Award due to his exceptional performance as the Traffic Unit Sergeant. Demonstrating remarkable dedication and leadership, his efforts have significantly contributed to enhancing public safety on Fairfield roads. Under his guidance, the traffic unit achieved notable reductions in DUI crashes, injury collisions, and fatalities, reflecting his commitment to ensuring community well-being. Beyond his managerial role, Sergeant Pirro actively engages in community outreach programs, organizing traffic demonstrations at local schools to raise awareness about road safety. He goes above and beyond in his duties, leading by example and earning the respect and admiration of his team members. Sergeant Pirro's meticulous attention to detail, quick decision-making, abilities, and strong work ethic have been instrumental in the unit's success. Additionally, he diligently manages grant programs, facilitates training sessions, and coordinates critical operations such as residential, search warrants, and DUI checkpoints. His leadership extends beyond the traffic unit, as he also serves as a SWAT team member, demonstrating his versatility and dedication to public service. Overall, Sergeant Robert Piro's exceptional contributions and unwavering commitment to public safety makes him a deserving candidate for this award.
Oh, is everybody still here who have their awards? If you are, if you could come up here, we'd like to stand up and take a picture with the council behind you. Thank you so much.
Tiffany, congrats. And I love your haircut. It's really cute.
One, two, three.
Congrats.
And I wasn't
Bye. Nice meeting you.
Yes.
being stern.
All right, Madam Clerk. Now we're going to turn to public comments.
Yes. Persons wishing to address the City Council on subjects not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the council may do so at this time. The council cannot discuss or take action on matters not on the agenda for this meeting, but council members may briefly respond to statements made or questions raised by the public, ask for clarification from staff, refer the matter to staff, request staff to report back to the council at a subsequent meeting, or place the matter on a future agenda. To speak on an agenda item, please use the raise your hand feature or press *9 on your phone.
Madam Clerk, because we have so many wanting to speak tonight, I'm going to limit the comments to 2 minutes each.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And our first speaker is Vani. No, right in the middle.
Right here?
You can lower that, yeah.
Okay.
It's, I think she's
Right
fine.
here?
She's fine.
It's
with
okay.
it.
Thank you. Anyway, I'll keep it to 2 minutes. So my name is Vani, and I live in Green Valley. Been there 28 years. So I come here tonight because of some concerns. Concern with the buildings that's been going on over there for the last several years. We do not get any notification of when these buildings are going to come up, like the apartments, like the storage, like several building storages for people, I guess, around there, and those apartments down the street.
Right.
And then besides that, they have allowed the hotels, Residence Inn, and another hotel down there. All of these extras creates more traffic. The school is small. I don't think it can hold enough. So all of that has happened, never got any notice, and I've been paying my taxes for 28 years. So besides that, there was a farm right behind my house that got permit, and they, from what I understood, they were building, developers from Pleasanton. They got permit to build houses behind mine. Again, I understand growth. I like growth, but when it is at the expense of my safety and my kids, I have a concern with that. They build a house behind. Those houses are so close up my behind that I can see everything in their house because it's so close. Okay, no choice. By the time I got to it, they go, well, you don't have a choice. It's already a done deal. Farm was sold, they built it. So as they sold the houses, couple months later, again, safety, I have a SWAT team at my door. A SWAT, rifles drawn.
You have 15 seconds.
Yeah, oops. Okay.
That's okay.
At my door. I didn't know why. They said, we need to get in your backyard. Why? Well, we have a search warrant for somebody in the back. So whoever lived in that back was dealing something, so they had a search warrant. I am stuck with rifles drawn in front of me. My daughter's in the house. Okay, I let it go. So that's part of the safety. The more we built, because they were so close to my house, which is why they needed to get in my backyard.
Your time is up.
Okay.
I understand you, and I have it down here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you
But
for
I'll
coming.
come back for the other thing, because my other concern was, now they got permit to build apartments right next to the elementary school.
Okay.
Again, we were not notified, and I have a concern with
We'll have to
this.
check on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your time, everyone.
Thank you.
Well, I'll come back, hopefully I'll have another chance.
Madam Mayor, do you want someone from staff to go talk to her right now?
I would. I'd like to know about the notification, if there's somebody here from,
Maybe Mr. Zellers from Community Development?
yeah, community development. Thank you.
Okay, and our next speaker is Mark Carmody, to be followed by Rick Johnson.
Yes.
And by the way, I did speak to her yesterday.
Okay.
And some of the concerns I forwarded to Assistant City Manager Savita.
Okay.
Either last night or this morning.
Thank
So I
you.
just kind of organized it, broken up, and forwarded, so.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman.
So Mark Carmody, resident of the Paradise Valley Maintenance and Monitoring District, and we've been over this many times. The original 150 members of that district have paid in about 90% of the $1.6 million reserve, which was supposed to take 40 years, and we've done it in 10. So we are asking for rebates on that issue, and also because we're bringing in 120 new members from Ridge and 360. It's not fair for them to just inherit this money that we've been paying into. So those are the two reasons. So I see that the rebate is not even addressed in your resolution. Big red flag. What I want to know, where is the 1.6 million? Where is it? And we've never had an audit. We need an audit. So that's my first request, an audit. And then I asked for it to be brought into the future resolution on budget and assessments. And today, by the way, is a big day. Today's the two birthdays, 1833, Johannes Brahms. I'm a big classic music guy. 1830, this one you'll know, Ilyich Tchaikovsky. Nutcracker Suite, Sleeping Beauty, William Tell, 1812 Overture. Thank you very much
Thank
for your
you,
time.
Paul.
I pray for you. You do a great job. You guys you got a lot going on here. I can see that.
Thank you so much.
Next is Rick Johnson, to be followed by Theta Peck.
2 minutes. As the PVMMD board met on June 9th, 2020, the board, after listening to the residents of the GAD, directed staff to hire a subject matter expert to re-examine. We ended up having the same subject matter expert in that process. You also directed that there be an audit be conducted. And then Councilmember Moy said, an independent audit needs to be performed to identify where mistakes were made and to be corrected. That audit has never taken place. We've tried several times working through staff. It has been put off, put off, put off. And that's what we asked the residents as we did a survey. 98% of everybody we talked to said they want extra money back. The concern that you have, I believe, is that reserves are good and we don't know what's going to come, so we need to have the money. You do know what's going to come. Your subject matter expert said, be ready for up to a $200,000 issue in a 10-year increment. So within 20 years, you might have two $200,000 issues. we are almost $1 million above where we're supposed to be in our reserve. Our reserve is that much overfunded to where the average home in the 150 typical homes would be receiving a credit of approximately $5,800. That's how much overtax they have gotten. The audit would have revealed that, and that's why we ask for the audit to be done, and as our people talk, they're going to be referring to the audit as something that's going to help them to be able to understand what's going on. But for you, the most important thing is, how much money do you need to have? Right now, we should have $600,000 approximately in that.
15 seconds?
In 13, in that, 15, thank you. That you needed to have $600,000 in that account, of which we've had no major incident for the first 10 years, which we have now experienced. So please, your subject matter expert is an expert, and don't hold them to a greater number. Public Works actually at the meeting said, you're going to need millions.
Time's up.
You don't need millions. All right.
Thank you.
I'll be back.
What's that?
Next is Theda Peck, to be followed by Chris and Leah Sawyer. Oh, okay.
I passed out what I'm going to say because I'm going to say it fast because there's a lot to be said.
Go, Theda, go.
Okay, my name is Theda Peck. I'm a resident of the PVMMD. I see the preliminary budget for the fiscal year 24-25 is on the consent calendar tonight. I'd like that to get pulled so we can have some public comments on that. Since this board will not put this issue of the rebate on the agenda of the overassessed fees paid by the residents from 2011 to 2022 for discussion, we have gathered signatures for a petition and that you contract with a qualified financial expert and perform an audit. And the clerk has that petition. 60% of the residents were contacted. Over 90% of them want something to happen. It only took 12% of residents to get you to pay $30,000 from the general fund to remove those P-files. There should be absolutely no reason why our request should not be approved. You have showed a lack of interest in obtaining any facts on how bad this program was managed. How can any decision be made when you do not know the facts? Well, here are some. You did not use basic budgetary controls or practices, resulting in the reserve of being overfunded by nearly $700,000. We were overassessed nearly $900,000, closer to $1 million. And again, the reserve was funded in 12 years instead of 40. 52% of the residents front-loaded this reserve, have paid 94% of it. How is this equitable? You expensed $390,000 and collected $1.6 million in fees. Assessment fees were in excess of the recommended budgets, on average 400 to 723%. The budget is under expense 26 to, in some years, 100%. That's the early years. In the last 2 years, it was under expense for an average of 40%. So even if we're not actively replenishing the reserve, we are still contributing to it because we are not being credited for what we overpaid the prior year. There are also some facts that you have failed to educate. These are just some facts you
Time is up.
failed to educate yourself on. Do the right thing and give us our money back.
I'm going to ask you not to clap after speakers. Thank you.
Our next speakers, Chris and Leah Sawyer, and to be followed by Dorothy Riley.
Okay, so Leah Sawyer from Paradise Valley also. So the assessment fees were increased without regard to...
Pull your mic down, please. Thank you.
Sorry, to the recommended
All right.
budget for the historical expenses, numbers of parcels, or the reserve balance. It was increased based only on the previous year's fee amount and the CPIs. The result was increasing fees with no basis of justification. The entire program needs to be examined by an unbiased third party who can validate what the residents know to be true. The program has been improperly managed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you again, please.
Next is Dorothy Riley.
Whistleblower, I can now add Solano County to not to like human subject experimentation.
John Vasquez and Mitch Mashburn tried to silence me earlier for trying to let the American people know that funds from the community and taxpayer dollars are being used in psych-op facilities to torture and experiment on human subjects. I am one of them. Society has been socially engineered to hate me when they should hate the FBI, police, FedIntel, COINTELPRO, domestic terrorism parallel system of government. 6:42 p.m. I was sexually assaulted right there with Nanobiotech as I'm sitting in the chair and for a few hours last night. Weaponized brain-to-computer interface in Nanobiotech is preceded by this COINTELPRO extreme psych warfare torture program, and with the weaponization of these technologies to create synaptic overload thought crossing to neuronally encode, rewire target's brain with countermeasure tactics and COINTELPRO psych warfare tactics to produce errors and negative intrusive thoughts. Well, I was severely shocked from being assaulted, kidnapped, and held hostage in one of these torture psych-op facilities. This causes critical brain injury. Well, you're enduring long-term torture, terrorism, isolation, betrayal, dehumanization, illegal and warrantless surveillance, gaslighting, extreme psychological abuse, physical abuse, lied about, slandered, betrayed through extensive bribery, gun violence, bomb threats, complete tech hacking, all while my life was being systematically destroyed and heinous false narratives were being reinforced. With visual field placement, soundscape interference, targeted statements, and targeted conversations. Isolation is done so the target, me, ruminates on the heinous narratives. I will clear my name, and if you would like to volunteer to see what some of these tactics are like, I can show you, and of course I wouldn't harm you, but I think you would be very upset. You have no idea what I have been through. Most people would not be alive, and I will give my life to clear my name.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Dorothy.
Our next speaker, Marites and Ryan Cabanero, to be followed by Jorge Elbarria.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Tess. I have my husband with me, Ryan. We live in Paradise Valley. As it stands now, 52% of our residents have funded 94% of the reserve because the reserve was allowed to grow at an accelerated rate. This is not fair or equitable. You want an audit performed and action taken to resolve the reserve funds or issues as our money returned to us. These issues needs to be addressed now and not put off it any longer. One resident has been addressing discrepancy since 2015. And thank you guys for listening. I hope we want an action as soon as we can. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you both.
And next is Jorge.
Hi, Jorge.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Jorge Albarran, and I'm here also to support the group of other residents from the Paradise Valley community. My family and I have lived there for since 2012, and I'm also requesting, reimbursement of the seemingly excess property taxes that were collected. So. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge.
Okay, did anyone else wish to speak on public comment? And there are no hands raised online. Oh, sorry. When you're done, can you come and fill out the card, sir?
Yeah, I gave you the
Oh,
card.
you gave me a card? What is your name?
We both did. Jose Ganoy. I guess we picked item 5 on that.
Oh, you put item 5. We're not on item 5 right now.
I'm sorry, we made a mistake.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, my name's Jose Ganoy, and this is Crystal. We both live in Paradise Valley, and we both want to talk about the special assessments that we were grossly, over-assessed. So also with the group before me, we would like to see what do you call that?
Put on agenda too.
Put it on your agenda that we, get that investigated so all those overassessed amounts can get rebated to us and at least get a special investigation done to see what was done to get this thing over-assessed on majority of the people in our neighborhood.
Many people on the Paradise Valley feel the same way, and they can't make it here, but they pipe on the phone or on, whatever, the phone or TV, but they feel the same way to have it put on the agenda and to be heard. It's been going on for so long, and you can't keep sweeping it under the rug when you want to be heard. I think I sent you an email too about that.
Well, we thank you for you guys' time.
Thank you very much, both of you.
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Councilman.
Yeah, I'd like to comment. We probably heard more people tonight talking about Paradise Valley than we have before, but I think it's really necessary that we do agendize this. I don't know if I have a second.
I'm going to second it for sure, because I met with Rick and Theta about a month ago, back in March, and the bottom line, listening to and looking at the numbers, this warrants consideration of this full city council, in my opinion. This fund, if I understand correctly, is currently, it should be about $700,000. It is right now about $1.6 million. I mean, that is from what it should be to what it actually is. The excess speaks for itself. So I'm going to wholeheartedly second this motion. I've heard from many people in Paradise Valley. Theta and Rick have, at least for me, taken the time to meet with me and to show me the information. And I think it is imperative that the city council take a full look at this issue, agendize it. Let's have an open discussion about it. Let's have a staff report about it, and let's do what is fair. So that's a long-winded second, but that is a definite second to your motion.
As long as it was a second, that's good.
That's the second.
We will have it agendized. I can't tell you when, but it'll be upcoming when the city manager comes back, or I'll speak with them tomorrow. Okay? Did you have something, Councilman Doug?
I did not.
All right. Okay. So then we are going to move on to the Paradise Valley Maintenance and Monitoring District. Do we have to call roll on this?
No, but I do have to read the statement.
Okay.
All matters listed on the consent calendar are to be approved with one motion unless a member of the PVMMD or the public requests that separate action be taken on a specific item. And I do have some speaker cards, too.
Okay, and somebody asked, I think that this be, was it this item they wanted pulled to discuss?
No one specifically, but I do have.
Ms. Peck did ask to
I
pull
do have
the
speaker
matter.
Yeah,
cards, so.
somebody
Ms. Peck
did.
asked to pull the matter.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and have a full open on
Okay.
this, so if people want to come and talk
Okay,
some more,
let me read
they're
the-
welcome to.
Let me read the item.
Okay.
Resolution 2024-01 of the Paradise Valley Maintenance and Monitoring District Board granting preliminary approval of the fiscal year 2024 to 2025 budget, declaring intention to order the levy and collection of assessments for fiscal year 2024 to 2025, and providing notice of a public hearing thereon for the Paradise Valley Maintenance and Monitoring District. And I don't know if Chris Lewis is here, but she is the contact, our Public Works Senior Management Analyst.
Good evening, members of the board. As this item was a consent item, we don't have a prepared presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, council members? Any public speakers?
Yes, Mayor. Theta Peck is our first one, to be followed by Crystal with an F. And just those two for now. Oh, you just spoke. Okay.
Rick, did you want to speak again? Okay, because we haven't heard enough, so come on up. I'll keep coming,
And
too.
we did agendize
it. We love you. Go ahead, Theta.
On the, Rick and I were able to review the budget, and there was a question that we brought up, and I know it got answered a few meetings back, but the special benefits, the slope mitigation is not being applied this year, or for next year, this year, or last year. And what we're being told is the slope mitigation is not applied when the reserve is not being replenished. Since we reached that reserve limit, it's not being applied. I don't understand why it's not being applied, because the slope mitigation should have no factor as to whether or not the reserve is being replenished or not. It should be placed on the assessment fee as a whole with no conditions set. Rick and I live in the estates. He lives butt up against the hillside. I live 1,300 feet away from it, yet we're paying the same amount. That's not special benefit. Special benefit should be the people that live along the ridge pay all the time, every assessment, a higher amount to offset what we don't, our lower special benefit. That's one thing. Second thing, the budget does not provide for a credit for when the budget is not expensed the prior year. The last 2 years, I don't have the effect for this year, but the last 2 years, it's under expensed by 40%. But yet, that money goes right into the reserve. It does not get credited to account for that money in the next year's assessment fee, and I think it should, because stuff's not getting done. The work's not getting done. We're putting more and more money into the reserve when it's hit its limit. That's why it's $1.68 million. Let's see, got that. And I find it somewhat disingenuous that the second motion to put this on the agenda when we have emails saying that you guys you don't want to deal with this. I find that whole thing disingenuous. Thank you. We are dealing with it.
Yeah, because we had to have a petition. You won't listen to us unless we get everybody to say something. You didn't
Excuse me, Miss Theda, please. You need to stop. You need to stop. Thank you.
So you think the motion we made was disingenuous? That's what you're saying?
After we have tried.
Oh, my
That's okay. No, you just said it was. That's fine. That's all I'm asking you. If you, then hold on. If you think it was disingenuous, I understand.
All right.
We made a motion and it was seconded on good. You happen good. If you think it's disingenuous, fine. What's your opinion?
Yeah.
Fine.
Because you got everybody looking at you right here. But when Rick and I have met with you.
Theda, okay.
I even sent you a presentation.
All right.
No answer.
She's out of order.
Rick?
She's out of order.
Exactly. Wow.
We should withdraw our motion then. I don't know if that's the case.
She's what? Okay, Rick, hold on here just a sec. I'm going to talk to the clerk. Are you okay?
Oh, yeah, I was just getting a cough drop.
Oh. I thought she was going to get me a shot of vodka or something. That would have been nice. Anyway.
I have to apologize for our frustrations, but they are just that. They are extreme frustrations that's dollars and cents. Same frustrations you felt when you heard the state of California wants to take away 75% of the water. Then when California Forever doing their underhanded campaign bothers also. And this has been an ongoing campaign for us since 2015 for me. And you guys have dutifully listened, and what I really wanted to say at this point is I want to thank Chris and I want to thank Ryan, because they have operated in a way opposite of the way it had gone. They are focusing on making the assessment relating to the expenses, which is the nature of our problem. If their predecessors had done that, we wouldn't be here today. They are correctly adjusting down the assessment to meet the level of expenses that are taking place. And Ryan is doing a great job with that. We disagree in some areas, but that's fine too. But that they're doing a good job. I wanted to pass that on. But our level of frustration is as high as it is because this is a very simple problem. If you are a person who works with budgets and you look at the spreadsheet, and please ask me or Theda, we will share this with you. We're dying to. Our emails have been offering that. The spreadsheet for any person who reviews a budget, it's horrible. I mean, none of it makes sense. So that's the challenge, and that's the frustration level. So I have to apologize for that, for our strength of belief in this, but it's our people's money and it's our money also.
Yeah, well, and that's what we're here for.
Yes.
And I think that everybody here wants to do things properly.
Yes.
And like you said, staff has been doing it. You guys got your stuff reduced quite a bit, right? Your fees have been, what, in half?
It met the expenses. In other words,
But
it
what did it
worked.
drop? How much did it drop?
From $1,200 to $343.
So, yeah, so we're on our way.
I totally
Thank you.
say that, yes.
Staff's been doing great, and I don't want anybody beating up on staff.
No,
If you want to
no-
beat up
no
on anybody,
beating.
you beat up on me. Let's
We would
go.
like to, we haven't met with you yet. We would like to do that.
I've looked at all your things, and I've talked and heard you, but I will meet with you. I'm happy to, as long as she doesn't scream at me, because I will bark back.
And
Understood.
Okay?
Yeah, I'd like to meet with you, just you.
Excellent,
That's it.
thank you.
Thank you, Rick. All right. Any other public speakers?
I think there was a misunderstanding. Thank you so much for the motion you made. Thank you so much for the motion. I think there was a misunderstanding there with
No.
Theda. Thank you for that motion.
It's okay.
Okay, okay?
Thank you
That's
so
all.
much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you for coming. All right. Anybody else, Madam Clerk?
No, and there aren't any hands raised online.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar, the PVMMD consent calendar.
I'll second.
Okay,
So moved.
so moved in a second. All right. All in favor? Aye. All right, that was unanimous. Yeah.
Was that 6-0 then?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I don't know if I missed it.
No,
Can-
please go ahead, I'm sorry. I just jumped right to it.
No, I thought we were finished with 5, is that right?
I was just clarifying that it was 6-0.
Correct.
Okay.
But you did not ask for consents yet?
Well, the PVM.
Not regular consent.
Yes.
Sorry. All right, so that was 6-0. We're going to move on to the regular consent calendar.
Okay, regular consent. All matters listed on the consent calendar are to be approved with one motion unless a member of the city council or the public requests that separate action be taken on a specific item.
All right, and Councilwoman Williams, did you want to pull one of the items?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
which item?
12.
Okay, we're going to take item 12 first then.
Okay, let me read the item. Resolutions 2024-90 through 2024-107 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield granting preliminary approval of fiscal year 2024 to 2025 engineers' reports, declaring intention to order the levy and collection of assessments, and providing notice of a public hearing for landscaping and lighting maintenance districts number 1, Gateway, number 3, Waterman Highlands, number 5, Smith Ranch, number 6, Pepper Tree, number 7, Rolling Hills, number 8, Collab Estates, number 10, Southbrook, number 11, Paradise Valley North, number 12, Downtown Business District, number 13, North Cordelia, number 14, Woodlake, number 15, Goldridge, number 16, Creekside at Cordelia, number 17, Chadbourne Beck Cordelia, number 18, Goldridge Park, number 19, Corporate Commons, number 2023-1 Gateway, and number 2023-11 Paradise Valley. And again, our presenter is Chris Lewis, Senior Management Analyst.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. As this was a consent item, I again don't have a presentation prepared, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Chris. I have a few questions. One is, these 18 LLMDs, are these all of the LLMDs in the city, or only the ones associated with the 2024, 2025 engineers reports?
These are all the LLMDs that the active LLMDs that the city has right now. There were a few that have dissolved in previous years.
Got it. How did the landscaping oversight committee, how did they weigh into this full report?
Unfortunately, due to the timing of when the committee was formed, and from when the committee was formed in February of 2023, and then members were appointed, and the group was solidified, I think, in October-ish of 2023. So we did have our first, we have met 3 times with the Landscape Committee in November of 2023, January, and February of this year. We did have a meeting scheduled for April. Unfortunately, we didn't have a quorum at that meeting, so we weren't able to meet. The Landscape Committee meetings have consisted mainly of LLMD background, getting the committee familiar with the landscaping issues, not just in the LLMDs, but in the general fund areas as well. Not all committee members have had the opportunity to follow, for example, the Prop 218 process over the last couple years, or are familiar with some of the issues that we've had ongoing for the past few years. So they were not able to weigh in to the 24-25 budgets or assessments, especially since we kick off that process as a city as a whole in around November timeframe. We start looking at the budgets for the next fiscal year. So November 2023, right around this time this group got together, is when we started looking at PCN reports and ISF, internal service fund charges and things like that. That's really preparing for the budget season.
So, so their next course of action would be working on next year's?
That's correct. Yeah, we would be asking them probably early on in the next fiscal year, anywhere from July to October, if they have any suggestions for the next year's budget. We do meet with them in July. We do have a meeting scheduled with them in July. So we have already told them that we would be meeting with them early on, but that would be their first opportunity to weigh in for fiscal year 25-26.
Got it. And just for full transparency, the reason why I'm asking you about that is because, these are valued members of the community. I know when I interviewed my District 1 people, it was really a struggle to pick one. They were all exceptional, and I bet that's across the board. So I want to make sure that these are folks that we are really tapping into their expertise. They are weighing in. They've already invested time, and for them to not have their final footprint in this stood out for me. And so I have one last question.
Sure.
For LLMD number 13, North Cordelia, there is part of the resolution is the adoption authorization of $151K loan from the Intergovernmental Loan Fund. So just, of course, this city council, the city budget is fiscal responsibility is important. And so my thought when I saw this, A, because it's District 1, but the other is because we're doing a loan that talks about paying back over 5 years. If we have to put in $151K this year, why do we think we'll be able to pay it back in 5 years? What if it goes like this? Don't we expect that we'll be giving $151,000 every year?
Actually, that loan, that $151,000 loan was issued in 2022, calendar year 2022. North Cordelia was one of 7 districts that the general fund issued a loan to based on the city council wanted to support and supplement the available assessment revenue for these 7 districts through fiscal year 22-23, while we conducted a community engagement and Prop 218 process to see if those residents would like to increase their rates. So that $151,000 loan has already been issued. They've already made their first payment as of this year, fiscal year 23-24. Those payments will go annually in equal installments with 0% interest through fiscal year 27-28. And the way the budgets are set up is all assessment revenue, the first portion of assessment revenue collected will go towards repaying that loan. So for North Cordelia, their annual payments are $30,000, and then the rest of that annual assessment revenue will be given towards annual maintenance, regular maintenance.
I get it now. Okay, thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you very much.
Anybody else with questions or comments on this? If not, then I will entertain a motion for this. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, very good. Any other questions on any other consent items? All right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That passed unanimously. And we're going to move on to new
I'm
business.
sorry, I didn't catch who made the second.
Oh,
Doug? Okay.
Councilman Doug.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we're on to new business now.
Yes, item 13, Parks, Recreation, Open Space, Master Plan Update, and Council Input. And our presenter is Director of Parks and Rec, Christina Kaunzinger.
Sorry. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you. Tonight I will be presenting an abbreviated update to our park master plan. You may recall that we had originally scheduled our consultants to engage council in an interactive review at your April 2024 council study session. However, with the budget priorities, we were unable to do that at that time. So again, I'm here tonight utilizing some of our materials that the consultants were going to be used to give you a briefing of some of the summaries and findings to date. So you may recall that we started this initiative January of 2023, and our contracted consultants are Wallace, Roberts, and Todd, but we refer to them as WRT, so if you hear that, that's who I'm referring to during the presentation. So that's when we launched it, and if you see on this calendar timeline, we are nearing completion now. So we're at our final stages, and our goal is to have our first draft public review document by the end of June, and then possibly a formal adoption at your second meeting in July. So through a series of internal and stakeholder meetings, a comprehensive community engagement campaign, and several community workshops, a variety of data and feedback has been gathered by our residents and stakeholders. The information will be used to create a comprehensive plan surrounding Fairfield's Parks and Recreation programming and park development. The plan serves as a guide for how the city will improve, expand, repurpose, prioritize, maintain, staff, and fund Fairfield's park assets and recreation opportunities. So throughout most of 2023, we engaged out in our community in a variety of ways, and the list here shows we had several pop-up events, community partner interviews, a handful of community workshops, online surveys, and a statistically valid survey. And most of these meetings and pop-ups, we did also provide translation, interpretation, both in Spanish and Tagalog when needed. So we feel like we had a good representation of our community throughout the process and heard from a variety of diverse stakeholders. So some of the key issues that were heard throughout we kind of capsulized these in three main areas. So first was with the feeling of a little bit of concern with safety and comfort at our local parks and trails, concerning relating to unhoused, inadequate lighting, and then really the wear and tear on some of our amenities. They're just aged and need some improvements and upgrading. And then for programming and facilities, we heard that there is a high unmet demand for some programming, and as I have reported before, some of that has to do with our staff shortages. So a lot of our regular programming that we have done in years past, we're not able to fully engage those programs. So we are working with our partners and other organizations to try to fill that gap, and that's one of the things that came out of the initial feedback from our community. And then also some, as we were engaging, were unaware of some of our programs that we are offering. So we were able to connect some of our information out directly to our residents. And then one of the other key things under that same category was really seeing some conflict with facility use. And what I mean by that, and primarily was when people were wanting to come out and use a certain amenity or a facility, it may have already been reserved. And so knowing if and when and how they can understand when those those amenities are already reserved. So we have made some updates to our website throughout the hearing of those concerns, and so we have improved that a little bit. So then the last key section there was access and connectivity, and really what was heard from our residents was that there seems to be a lack of either park, green, or open space near their homes, so they're needing to travel, whether it's walking, biking, or driving, to have some recreational opportunities. And then there's also been a lot of concern or acknowledgement that at some of our parks where we have really active amenities and programming, that there's parking limitations, and that has translated into some impacts to our local neighborhoods. And then an overall desire to have our park and open spaces more accessible, ADA accessible, and some of the amenities that are aged, when we do replace them, that they will be really allowing more of that diverse use for those new amenities. We also, as I mentioned in the opening, we did what is called a statistically valid survey. So we randomly sent out surveys to residents here in our community, and we actually had over 450 responses to that, which was really good response for that type of survey. And so we had 3 categories primarily that were captured in those surveys. And the first was asking about our facilities and asking our residents some of their recommendations or priorities. So in this illustration on the left-hand side, everything listed there were high responded or high importance that were collected from those 450 plus respondents. To the right of that, we used that data to kind of validate when we were out doing our pop-up events and our community workshops. And so you'll see these little bullets, 1, 2, or 3, to say when we proposed those same high priorities, what was the response? Was it low, medium, or high? So you'll see in the highlighted areas that those 2, both through the survey and then throughout our community engagement, the real high priorities were with trails, whether they were paved or unpaved, and then with the desire of having more smaller neighborhood parks. Again, it was really the accessibility of having spaces near their homes where they could be within a walking distance to go and enjoy. And then on the programming side, there were 3 primary things that came out of the survey, and that was with adult fitness and wellness programs, wanting more of that, and that's important to our community. The community special events, having more of them, and then also looking at how we can really elevate our outdoor environmental or experiences, whether it's through nature camps and or other programs. And actually, our community engagement also had those as medium and high priority and asks. And then in the survey, we also had asked specifically for our active aging, which is our senior population. And so the survey listed on the left side were all of those that ranked high in what they responded. You'll see on the community engagement side that it's blank, and I will just comment that really when we met with our seniors, both at the Adult Recreation Center and out in our community, they lumped all of those things under social activities, and that's why it's shown here, but really they were all high, just as the survey indicated. Okay, and then the other thing that we had our consultants do is what they took all of the information from all of surveys, workshops, pop-up events, our stakeholder meetings with staff, and they culminated that information into what we're categorizing as 7 main themes or 7 ideas. So making parks safe and vibrant is one of the 7. And some of the things that came out of that are listed below. I won't read everything to you tonight, but it was things like, shade. We want more trees. We want picnic shelters. We want to be able to engage in those kinds of things, having more vegetation and more lighting, activating our parks where that feels safer because there's a lot more positive activities going on. make recreation opportunities visible and inclusive, and that was really more of the communication side of things, is really trying to get our information out to our community on recreation programs and our facility uses. Also looking at upgrading some of our website reservations and registration. And then the next category is improving access to parks and investing in the heart of Fairfield. A couple of things there specifically were to, really high priority was to continue working and completing the Allen Witt Park Master Plan. And then also looking at improving our trails. And the other thing that came out of this initiative was also the desire to see both the community center and the adult recreation center modernized and updated for allowing better and more programming. And then aligning resources with priorities. While we did hear absolutely we need new parks, we also heard loud and clear that we need to focus on improving our existing parks and ensure that our core services are met. And then expanding partnerships and achieve shared goals. We do have a very strong relationship with a lot of our organizations, in particular our school district. And so this was another area where the general residents or our community did not already know that we have like a joint use agreement with our school district. So we always can look at strengthening those partnerships. And then adding and growing recreation amenities and programming. Pretty much throughout all of the communication with our community, it was within the parks or open spaces really, and as was indicated on the survey results, was having loop trails or more walking and, where it's self-recreating type of amenities that are available. And then the completion, again, came up with the Allen Witt Master Plan, and then excitement and the desire of having the amenities that we have proposed for the Matt Garcia Park. And then always, for the neighborhoods wanting more court type of games, the tennis, pickleball, basketball, those things continue to be asked for. And then, as I mentioned in the last slide, elevating Fairfield's natural environment. We really do live in have an environment with nature all around us, and really trying to expand upon that. So with that, we had intended, as I mentioned, to have a more engaged time with you at a work session. So we provided those exercises to you in a hard copy format, which is at your dais. And so the first page should look like this. And so those same 7 core areas or ideas are illustrated in your packet. So this is what I'm referring to, and each of you have one. And so we're asking that you would look at each of those 7 core areas, and each of them have 4 boxes. So within those 4, we're asking just put a check mark or an X on the top 2 priorities in each of those categories. No, as homework. We're giving you homework. Sorry, I meant to mention that I'm just going over some of the instructions, and then we are asking that you take some time. Thank you, Scott, or Councilmember Tonneson. And then we are asking for those to be returned to Kelly Ballard by the 21st. Okay. So then moving on to, we're getting to the end here. So one of the things we also started to do with our community engagement was looking at specific park, and as people were communicating to us, some of the parks that they really wanted to see as maybe repurposing them or invigorating some of the amenities to what may be needed now, or because we don't have a whole lot of new growth park spaces, how can we better utilize some of the parks that we do have? So you'll see some of those key items for each of the 8 that are here on your screen. I, again, won't read through them all, but just as an illustration, for Allen Witt Park, obviously with the park master plan, all of the new amenities and upgrades to those are very much still wanting to happen in our community, adding more tennis and pickleball. The Civic Center, this was one that was really quite exciting to hear. So with regard to our downtown and really wanting to have a plaza, downtown plaza or civic plaza, we have limited space there. And a couple of our residents were saying, well, this location is really only a couple blocks from the downtown. So is there perhaps an opportunity into our future that maybe we would repurpose this space out here. And some of the thoughts were maybe looking at covering part of the pond or all of the pond and making that really a new place where we bring some of our core community events here on our site rather than at the county lawn. We have, that's just an example of what came through some of the thoughts with, in particular, this site. And then again, updating, modernizing the two buildings. And then at Octo Inn, we heard a lot from our residents about definitely recognizing that soccer is a high priority, but that we need to have a better location to better serve that growing sport and trying to eliminate some of the impacts on that particular neighborhood. And so similar feedback were given on the other items. So with that information, also in your homework packet, we're asking for you to look at each of those areas. And on this one, we're asking for each of those individual parks is to mark 3 X's or check marks on the things that you think would be most important to consider for future development and or improvements to those sites. Okay. And then lastly, one of the considerations for park development, again, looking at repurposing or reimagining existing parks, really 2 of the prime examples for that would be looking at Dover and Tabor parks. They provide that really good illustration of how we may improve this to enhance overall user experiences. For in this exercise, where we've already provided to you a couple of the amenities or new things that we heard from our community that they would like for us to consider if and when we could fund some improvements out there. And so on this one, on your homework sheet, we're just simply asking to put a D for Dover or T for Tabor on those amenities that you think would be neat to maybe repurpose that site. And you can have obviously certain elements that you want at both sites, so you would just simply write a D and T on that element that's listed there. So in summary, we've just given a little bit of, again, very abbreviated summary of some of the key findings that we had throughout our community engagement. And so you have your little homework assignments that we're asking to have back to Kelly Ballard by May 21st. We are coming back on June 4th as a part 2 to this presentation, which will include an overview summary of what you responded. And then we will continue with more of the internal findings and work on understanding total costs of ownership, looking at staffing standards and potential funding strategies for future development. So next steps, as I mentioned earlier, once we come back with all of that, we're hopeful to have a draft document published by the end of June with adoption by your council second meeting in July. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you. I think you did a really great job. I do a lot of outreach work during my day job, so I really recognize stellar outreach work, so thank you for that. 2 questions. One, what we heard, key issues. I really appreciate, and I think there's two slides for that. Oh, no, it's not specific part. It's key issues.
It's delayed for some
6
reason. Maybe I hit it too fast.
Yeah, I think it's 6. And so what I really appreciate about this, and you touched on it, is that you lifted some of the issues and you were like, oh, we can fix that now. And so 6 really, to me, speaks to that, lighting being inadequate and unhoused population deters use. Are there a bunch of these, we heard issues, we didn't realize it, and we can lift those now fairly easily?
Yeah, so most certainly on the programming side, that's easier than any kind of improvements out at locations or replacement of amenities. So any of those type of things we will take into consideration, and as this overall plan gets solidified and finalized, This council will be also sharing some of the prioritization for us for potential inclusion in our 5-year CIP planning. If there wants to be some prioritization of existing projects with now what we're hearing from our community, those things will come in as a second phase, if you will, with trying to put it together an implementation plan, taking the whole of everything that we will share with you. So one of the key components that we will be bringing back in June is really what is called understanding the total cost of ownership, which goes into the deeper dive of the cost of staffing, the maintenance, and costs of building and improvement and replacement. So that helps give you a little more of a guideline of what we're really talking about on the financial side to help make those decisions and those priorities.
Got it. And I lost track of what number it was, but you talked about park equity. And so so were you saying within a certain mile radius?
Yeah,
some
so
areas?
the standard typically, the industry standard or just community standard is that you would want some type of access to whether it's a trail, an open space or park or green space within a half-mile or 10-minute walk. And some of those can be accomplished where it's a school that may have an open play area that can be part of getting access to some of that recreation opportunity. And because we do have a joint use agreement, sometimes we can use the school grounds for those type of activities. But that's really one of the overarching goals that comes out of a park master plan, is really starting to set some of those policies of how and where do we want to continue to grow, and if and when we build new parks, where should they go to bridge some of the gaps that we've now identified.
Got it. And I think I asked you this before during a study session. Will we expect a park equity half-mile radius kind of like overlay over the whole plan? So we'll see where those, I don't know, park desert?
Yep, that's what we call them, park desert.
So, okay, very good.
So yes, so the consultants have done a lot of work that we brought actually it's crazy, it's almost a year since they were last at a work session with you in July of last year, where they just started mapping some of those things. They weren't at a place fully to give you the bigger, broader perspective of all of those things, but they're called heat maps, and so they have a lot of different demographic information that are then illustrated graphically, so it's really easy to see where those gaps are.
Councilman Tonneson?
Christina, thank you for the homework. I was with Councilman Carr from the 7th grade on, and we both excel at homework. The Civic Center is an interesting idea. So, can I don't want to do it here because we've got enough going on, but can we come and sit down with you and?
Yes, of course.
Because I want to go over. But Civic Center really intrigues me.
So in there,
And I
I don't know
second
why this
that.
thing is so slow. Okay. So in the illustration that's given, there's, and you'll see it maybe bigger on the pages that you have.
Yeah.
Shows some of the thought of how and what might be to reimagine that space, where you'll see part of the pond being covered. Going really crazy out into the future, it could be where we're paving the street there and combining both the adult center to the park eventually in the future. So there's a lot of other opportunities with the potential of having this location be what we've been wanting to have as, downtown core area for entertainment and special events, where it would just require significant investment, obviously, but that is where we start looking at where are our opportunities with land we already own, and how can we repurpose those to make it really much more of improving a user experience or just having more use altogether.
Yeah. No, I like it. Thank you. It's a good presentation.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I have one, Mayor.
Sure, Councilman Doug.
Going through on my homework, I don't see the Octopark Field walk path.
It is listed on there, I
On the
believe.
loops?
It's on the, I believe it's on the summary, and if it's not on your homework page, that's an omission that was not to be, but I thought it is, sorry. But I can accept any write-in comments as well.
Okay, good. All right, I'll be writing in some comments.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say that when Scott and Doug and I were little here, we always had to walk more than 15 minutes to get to a park. And we also made parks of the streets in our neighborhoods and did a lot of other things. And so it's funny how much we expect now, is what I'm saying. And I was thinking that today when I was driving around actually in downtown and other areas and thought, this is exactly how it was when I was a kid. Now, I know I'm old, but I don't know. I guess it's a whole nother time. We really expect more from government. We expect, all these things. It's nice. I love dreaming about it. We used to have concerts down here around the pond.
That's why
we could do it now.
Yeah.
I don't know why we don't. But yeah, it was great. Thank you for the presentation.
It's my pleasure, and I also wanted to acknowledge the two core team members, Marisa Cumpion, who's not here tonight, and then Caroline Vetter, who were our little subcommittee team of city folks.
You guys did a great
working
job.
with our consultants. So.
And one question, who came up with the idea on the Civic Center thing? I'm just curious.
So it was a little brainstorming within our department.
That is
Our
awesome.
internal staff looking at our facilities and how maybe we can upgrade and expand. So city staff.
Very good, thank you.
All righty then. Thank you. So now we are going to turn to public hearings. And we're going to go to item 14, which is a continuation of the public hearing.
Yes, item 14, continued public hearing and resolution 2024-81 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield authorizing the city manager to execute a power purchase agreement with Onyx Development Group, LLC, for the provision and operation of a solar field at the Waterman Water Treatment Plant. And our presenter is Michael Heather, Assistant Director of Public Works Utilities.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Moy, Fairfield City Council members. I'm Michael Heather, Assistant Public Works Director with the city's Utilities Division. I'm back here tonight as you requested because the public hearing opened at the last council meeting held on April 16th, 2024 remains open. Prior to the decision to leave it open, I had requested action on the approval of a power purchase agreement to build a solar array. The purpose of this project is to provide a means for the city's utility to defray rising power costs. So over the next few minutes, I'll summarize the project's connection to Fairfield Municipal Utilities' mission, give you an overview of the water treatment plant property site programming, as well as describe the connection of the solar array to another project that we're managing concurrently, because it's helpful to know and understand that we're doing this all under the state-imposed net electric metering NEM 2.0 timeline. So as I see it, tonight's presentation seeks to answer 5 questions. First, I'll outline a couple of general and project-specific duties in consideration that we're operating under. Second, I'll briefly describe the relationship between the Waterman High Lift Pump and Power Upgrades project and the solar array project. Next, I'll summarize the efforts related to the solar array project prior to the public hearing open on April 16th, 2024. And then I'll update you on what we've done since the opening of the public hearing, basically in the last couple weeks. And then finally, I'll summarize what I perceive as next steps. So I think it's helpful to remind ourselves why we do what we do, as well as point out one of our roles which lives beyond us. In other words, actions that I take today will help those who come behind me. So first, on why we do what we do. At our core, we're part of our mission at Fairfield Municipal Utilities is to deliver water at an affordable price. That means we continually seek ways to reduce costs that benefit our ratepayers. Second, part of our role is to remain future-oriented, which means we do forward planning so that we can sustain the city's general plan, Also, we are a member of the Community Choice Aggregate Marin Clean Energy, which means we have a duty to reduce or seek ways to use alternative energy sources. And as part of our project-specific duties tied to the solar array, we need to finish the pump and power equipment upgrades for the high lift pump project while meeting the state-imposed NEM2 deadline. So first, I think it's helpful to take a look at a 10,000-foot view so that there's a general understanding of the parcel size and the orientation relative to the surrounding neighborhoods. So the parcel that the city's water treatment plant occupies is highlighted in the center, and it's approximately 55 acres. So the Puda South Canal starts at the mid-left of the screen and is the serpentine shape that makes its way to the upper right hand of the page. Interstate 80 is the bottom right, and I've labeled the subdivisions that are juxtaposed around the treatment plant property. So one last notable feature are the PG&E overhead transmission lines they're denoted in red, and they traverse in a northeast-south westerly course. So most of the plant features are contained in the southerly half of the parcel. Major features include the facilities themselves, which are located at the central southern portion, the ponds on the west, and the 10 million gallon reservoir on the east side. So the plant was originally built in the 1970s as a 12 million gallon per day facility. Almost 40 years later, another expansion was completed, which increased its capacity to 30 million gallons a day. So from a site programming perspective, placement of the solar array is meant to accommodate some future expansion when that happens. So there are actually two projects in play from a project planning perspective, one that's been approved. The primary project involves the Waterman High Lift project, which has been going on for over 3 years. The city has been working with PG&E and their industrial power engineering group since mid-2020. To date, the city has pre-purchased 2 long lead items. The first was the backup generator, which we did sometime last year, and the second was the switchboard, which occurred last month. The Waterman High Lift project is scheduled to go out to bid next month, and both pieces of equipment will be supplied to the contractor for installation. The solar project is connected, and that's the most publicly outwardly facing project related to this. So as it pertains to the electrical room, I bring all this stuff up because everything physically converges into the high lift building. And both of the projects have been long in the works with PG&E, and each have custom equipment subject to uncertain supply chain and market forces. So the solar array is situated in the northerly portion. This is what you saw last month. Those will have conduits that converge into the electrical room of the high lift building, and the high lift project, along with the solar project, each have specifically manufactured equipment requiring approval from different working groups within PG&E. Both projects are planned to be constructed concurrently to meet the state-imposed NEM2 deadline. So as it pertains to the solar array project, in late 2022, the city submitted an interconnect application with PG&E in order to meet the state-mandated deadline. In early 2023, the city began working with PG&E, but we lost 9 months as PG&E was unresponsive for a majority of the year. PG&E finally responded after the city filed a formal complaint with the CPUC. So I'm not up here to ding on PG&E because that's not what this is about. What I think is...
Oh, go ahead and do that.
What I actually think has happened is that there is an influx of applications from people just like us that are submitting interconnect applications, and they just have, they're overwhelmed. So after we filed the CPUC complaint, no less than 2 days before Christmas, did we get a response. My only regret was we didn't submit that 3 or 6 months earlier.
Way to put the spurs to them. Yes, approved.
So in late 2023, the city conducted a formal request for proposals soliciting solar providers, and the agreement you have before you was negotiated in early 2024. So what's important to note when you look at these standard power purchase agreements is that generally those have public outreach and the CEQA analysis, California Environmental Quality Act, those are generally baked in and put onto the provider. But what you have in front of you is what we negotiated. We pulled those out of the agreement, and we said we, the city, will take and engage the neighbors beforehand, because Generally, what agencies do is they do the standard government notice, they get an approval, and then they do the outreach to the neighbors. But the problem is the ship's already left the harbor. So I felt as a good neighbor, we got to tell the neighbors at some point. So since the last meeting, the city has engaged a biological resource. Actually, sorry, bear with me for a second. So the city engaged a biological resource consultant earlier this year, but she really couldn't get out to assess the site until March due to weather. We have since received her initial findings and are on the verge of filing the notice of exemption to comply with the California Environmental Quality Act. We've also staked out and mowed the project footprint based on the solar array configuration that you've previously seen. After mowing the footprint, we met with an arborist at the site to identify tree species and pattern that could help screen the views from multiple neighborhoods. We've also resumed public outreach and our progress meetings between technical groups, that is, the technical groups between city, owner rep, the high lift side, and the solar folks. Those are the meetings that I've described before. Sometimes there's 20 people in the meeting. So this slide is meant to show a graphical representation of the areas assessed by the biologist. The area she assessed consisted of about 20 acres, whose perimeter is shown by the alternating black and white line. The solid red line is a creek protection boundary, and the blue line represents drainage, and the dotted lines are vegetated buffers. So the areas represented by the green diagonal lines are aquatic resources. So in order to remain exempt from CEQA, we must not build anything within these identified areas. These areas, in turn, have been since shared with the solar provider, and they have been told not to build anything within these zones. So since the last meeting, this slide, it's not to the same scale as the previous because all I have is PDFs to work with, but this shows the solar array, which you looked at last month, overlaid with the areas identified by our biologist. We have since communicated that the areas identified by our biologist shall neither be encroached upon nor have anything built within them. Consequently, the solar provider is working on reconfiguring the array to ensure that no features are placed within the biological resource areas. So this slide is meant to show the mown area, which we used to engage the arborist so that he could give the city a proposal on a selection of tree species and a pattern that best screens the footprint. So in summary, we want to continue to work with the multiple technical groups, including the solar provider, because despite the fact that we don't have an approved contract yet, they have been working in good faith with us to try to advance the cause on the solar array project. We will work with the biologist. First thing we need to do is conclude her report and file the notice of exemption. We will continue working with the neighbors who want to proactively work with us to develop a tree planting plan that best screens the array from multiple perspectives. And finally, I am requesting that we come back for approval on June 4th to give the solar provider time to verify, validate their numbers, and do everything they need to do to accommodate the reconfiguration of the solar array. So in short, some of those array panels are going to be shifted down the hill because clearly there was an area identified in the northern part of the array configuration that they can't build in. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Okay, I need to ask the city attorney something really quickly, but if I'm going to open, the public hearing's open already, right? So it's continued, so it's already open. If anybody wants to go ahead and ask any questions right now, Councilman Vaccaro?
I think we have some speakers on this issue.
Sure.
So I think we should allow that first.
Okay, I'm just going to ask a quick question here.
Meanwhile, I got a question. So from what I understand, the old, if you flip back to what have we done since our last meeting, the old solar array. That can't go due to the biologist's finding of the creek, is that correct?
Correct.
So you're planning on moving them down more?
That's right.
And less solar panels, or will they be just reconfigured and they'll be the same amount?
The idea would be to reconfigure so that we can maintain the same savings.
I got you.
There-
And they'll even be less visible if we move down the hill like what we have to, is that correct?
That would be the idea. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Councilman Vaccaro? Oh, okay. We'll go ahead and take the public comment now, please, Madam Clerk.
Okay. First, I have Scott Eisen, to be followed by Rudy Guzman.
I have something to pass out before I speak.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Are we getting 2 minutes or 3?
2.
2, okay. All right, good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members, for having me. My name is Scott Eisen. I live in Rancho Solano. This 5-acre solar field is right in my backyard. And it is an extreme, I left my phone at my book, but it's an extreme eyesore for us. We've lived in Fairfield for 15 years now. We moved to Rancho Solano 6 years ago because of the rolling hillscape and panoramic views. You can see in the photos, I can see this 5-acre parcel from my living room, from my kitchen, from my master bedroom. My other neighbors have it even worse than I do. Also attached inside here is a Google Earth giving our line of sight to this 5-acre plot. I'll also note that moving the solar field lower, in fact, makes it even more visible from all of our homes. I am also attaching inside there, there's Appendix 1 from the general plan, with general plan excerpts listing certain policies set forth to preserve the views and hills of other vistas surrounding Fairfield, adopting ordinances for hillside development, preservation, trees, streams, drainage courses, and maintaining scenic vistas of the rolling hills that are seen from urban areas within Fairfield. More importantly, preserving identified prominent topographical features, including ridgelines, steep slopes, and hillsides, natural features such as tree stands and riparian areas, which there is a riparian area down even lower in that field. Also attaching the
10 seconds.
all right, the scenic vista and roadway plan, which is adopting, which I believe our homes do sit forth inside that scenic vista. You can see inside of our those photos the vista that we see here, and more importantly, I'm just trying to maintain the habitat back there. There's animals, there's turkeys,
What
there's.
time is that, sir?
Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eisen.
Next speaker is Rudy Guzman, to be followed by Darcy Presser.
There's some pictures.
Yes, you can.
Anyway, the pictures that he's shown doesn't even come close to what it's really going to look like. There's pictures there coming from my windows. Every one of those windows, that hill site plan is facing my house completely, just there. I'm worried about the glare. He says they're glare-free. BS, they're not glare-free. The ones he's putting in are gonna be a lot, they're movable. My house is gonna be hit with glare. It's a public nuisance, private nuisance. And we don't agree with it. I think they came to us and just dropped it on us. My neighbors from the left and 2 neighbors on the right side are on vacation. They're gone for like a month, and one of them's gone for 2 months. We need more time for them to come when they get back so they can see what's going on, so we can plan this out a little better. Again, he just dropped it on us. They mowed the lawn. If you look at the pictures, those are from my window. And this thing's massive. I mean, right there just shows their little section. I'm just wondering why they don't put it above their facility. They have plenty of room. He said it's a cost issue. I don't, spend the money. I wonder how much this project's gonna cost anyway. I mean, I'm sure it's not free. You know, can we move it down above your facility, you know, in the parking lot, up on the roofs? I mean, why does it have to be there? And why does it have to be facing towards my house? My house gets hit the worst. My neighbors are gonna be affected by it. It's gonna be huge, like I said, public nuisance. So I'm asking you guys to just, you know, give us more time, couple months, you know, just to get the neighbors all involved and possibly, you know, look at what we have to do as far as legal issue, or hire a lawyer.
Your time is up.
Junction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Darcy, and to be followed by Tim Dowling.
Good evening. My name is Darcy Pricer. I've been a licensed real estate agent in California for the last 7 years, and my broker of record is Compass. Mr. Guzman, who's the owner who just spoke to you, contacted me 2 weeks ago when this project was brought to him. And I don't know if anybody said this, but this is a 5-acre solar field, if you picture 5 acres. He asked me to look at his property and give my opinion on how the market value of his home would be impacted should he sell in the future. I shared 3 of these thoughts with him. First, obviously, the views of the open space are a huge selling feature. He has a 1/4-acre lot at the end of a cul-de-sac, and as he shared, his backyard and all of the back windows in his house overlook this area. It's visible from inside, it's visible from the balcony, it's visible everywhere, and I believe that his property value would be lowered by approximately $100,000 if this is built. And his neighbors would be similarly impacted between the range of $50,000 to $100,000. One of the biggest selling features of this area, as you all know, is the beauty of the rolling hills. One other item, since I only have another minute, is that any neighbor who now knows about this project has to disclose this. This is now a disclosure item. Because in the seller property questionnaire, it asks if a seller is aware of any past or present known material fact affecting the value or desirability of a property. So now any seller in Rancho Solano will have to disclose to a potential buyer that this 5-acre solar field is about to be built in their backyard. Again, the city could mitigate a lot of these negative impacts by moving the solar field onto the existing footprint. They could put it on the roof, they could relocate it to a different area, or they could reduce the size. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And our last speaker, Tim Dowling.
I thought we got 3 minutes. The
You get
cards
2 tonight.
tonight?
Yes, sir. You're losing your time. You're going to go?
I am questioning why it says 3 minutes at the door, and now
Sir,
it's 2.
I'm the mayor, and I said how long, and there was plenty of speakers today. I said it at 2 minutes.
We waited 2 hours.
Sir,
2.5
I
hours
have to give
for this.
everybody the same.
Well,
I don't want to argue
I think
with
it's
you.
unfair, and I think we need to do something about it.
Okay, then you do that.
Okay, the first point I want to bring up is that the city seems to point to the existing site out on Peabody as representative, and that this is simply a similar installation. I feel this is a false equivalency. That site, all the homes are on level ground, and the solar panels are on the same level. There are 6 houses that abut the solar array site, and there's an 8-foot wall and a line of trees between the houses and the solar site. So you can't really see those. And all those homes were built after that site was installed. So this wasn't brought in like this at that location. That was there when they built the houses. My second point is the elephant in the room, that this has not been, and that has not been addressed. There are 2 key characteristics of Fairfield: beautiful rolling hills and a consistent wind most days from the southwest. It parallels the line that the PG&E power lines were in the drawing earlier that Heather showed. This site consistently gets that wind, but while we have looked at the visual impact of the panels, we haven't discussed the fire hazard to Rancho. Rancho is the largest development in Fairfield, over 1,200 homes and high end. Directly over the hill from the proposed site are a cluster of 47 homes with an average value of $730,000. There are many homes beyond these, as you could see in some of the pictures that were shown earlier. If only the first 47 homes burned, it would be a financial loss of $34 million. not mentioning potential loss of life. That compares to 500,000 potential per year for the next 25 years.
Your time is up. Thank you.
Did anyone else wish to speak? There aren't any hands raised online.
All right. So what I'm going to do first is I'm not going to immediately close public comment on this because staff asked us to bring this back in June to vote on it. And so we can vote on it tonight, or we can wait until the other work is done and bring it back up in June. This is up to you all. I'm not making the call. Yes, Councilman Vaccaro?
Yeah. I think we need to bring it back in June.
Okay.
And can we make some comments now?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. All right, well, thank you for everybody speaking on it. You know, for full disclosure, I actually went over to Mr. Ison's house. Okay, he's a constituent. He asked me if I want, to come and look at it. What really, and I understand how it affects, everybody's view. I mean, that's one thing. I understand that. I think for me, the thing that really got to me, and I'm looking at the general plan excerpts, preserve the views of hills and other vistas surrounding Fairfield. That's one of my concerns, because if you look at it over those hills and you see, and all of a sudden there's going to be a solar field out there, to me, that bothered me when I went there. I spent some time there looking at it. I went back actually a couple days later with Councilman Tonneson, and it was pretty much, I could just kind of picture what it would look like, and it bothered me, I didn't really, the last meeting, I didn't know enough about it, but, thank you, Mr. Ison, for inviting me over to look at it, because now I do know more. That's why I think we need to know more by June 4th. I would feel very uncomfortable voting on it tonight.
Okay,
That's my opinion, so.
sure.
Can we invite you guys over to the house? My house would probably be best for you.
Sir, I'm sure that everybody would be glad to do that. If you could just talk to us afterwards, that would be great.
Yeah, I'm easy to
Thank
get hold
you.
of.
And you can invite me as well.
Yeah. Councilman Doug?
Yeah, I drove up there on Sunday, looked around myself. I have a lot of the same concerns. And I think that we should put it out to the 4th.
All right. Councilman Tonneson?
So, I'm fine with putting it off to the 4th, but I have a few questions. So, we work for the entire city, but we all live in districts. So I have some district questions. Is this going to affect all ratepayers within the city?
Yes, that's the intent. The savings realized from power savings is to offset our costs. So here's some of the numbers. You've got in your packet, $10.5 million over 25 years. Generally, every year we budget $1.2 million to $1.4 million just for the power line item. So when we look at the cost to ratepayers, it's hard to quantify how much it's going to be, to each individual ratepayer per service.
But if you're saying it's an average of 430 some odd thousand a year, if we divide that by 33-ish thousand residents.
Those would be service connections, sorry.
Service connections. Yep. So if an average, and I'm just throwing numbers out to get a percentage out, and I know they're not accurate numbers, but if you're saving, if an average bill is $70, $75, and you're saving $15 a month, I live in District 2, I live in the downtown district, that's a lot of money. Percentage-wise, it's a good chunk of money. So those are the things I'm looking at. What is the average savings? We know it's going to affect homes in Rancho. I question lowering the value. I too am in real estate for 40 some odd years. There was a lot of questions back in the day when Rancho was being built that how much would the power lines decrease value. In my opinion, that's just what people want. You know, does that affect them? Does it not? Somebody may buy a house out there and say, man, I'm all into the solar and into the windmills, and, you know, somebody may like it. So in that sense, you are affecting few, serving many. But the homes were there first. So I'm also very aware of that. Are they a nuisance? It could be construed as a nuisance. I'm aware of that too. Can they be moved? I think that's a good question. Is there room to move them to somewhere where they're, I don't know how you can get a 5-acre solar panel that somebody's not going to see. I don't know that we have that kind of land, but I guess that was a question that came up.
Agreed. And I know Scott personally. I see him as an honorable person with high integrity, and when he says that it's big, and I've seen it, I'm a Rancho Solano resident as well. I don't have an argument for that. We take that as that's part of maximizing the return to be able to have output to get a yield on savings. Part of the other contract, the way that these are structured is that someone comes in, we have zero capital, at least from the standpoint of the city. They come in and own, they maintain it, and then we buy power from it.
I think that's a fair answer, but if we're moving it, that's fine. But I just wanted to get my comments and opinions out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman
I
Doug?
have one more question. Is there any state requirements now or in the future that is going to require that we maximize our power usage through solar?
Well, it's funny you asked that I was just, the city is a member of Association of California Water Agencies. So one of the committee meetings I attended today was the Energy Committee, and they talk about the evolving regulations around just power in general. So in my mind, when we seek out to do these things, what we're trying to do in the utility is provide certainty. So one of the things that to me you can't decouple is we all know that local, state, and nationally the cost of natural gas is going up, right? So to me, when I say it's hard to decouple electricity and gas, is because in the state of California, they write rules to tell the utilities to use more from the renewable energy portfolio. So in times of high demand, when they can't produce or the renewables aren't producing, it gets made up. And where does it get made up? The power plants, they need natural gas to fire up and meet the demands. So energy and gas, they're commodity prices. So at that point, they spike. And generally what happens is those power purveyors, they pass the cost on to the customers.
Thank you.
Madam Vice Mayor?
Thank you. So I don't know if this is what Councilman Tonneson was asking, but let me ask it again, and forgive me if I'm reiterating it. Is there another location we can put this project? Because I understand the numbers, but I think that maximizing cost savings on the backs and property values of residents in the city who bought their homes at a time when this was not on the, radar screen at all is unfair. I know I'm thinking, what if I were one of these residents? I would be screaming, holy hell, trust and believe it. And we just got some pictures shown around the dais this evening. I mean, it is clear as a bell. And so while I understand the savings and the reasons for it, as a homeowner myself in Rolling Hills, if I had to look at something like this out of my window or off my back porch or whatever, it's not fair. So to ask these residents to bear the weight for the good of the whole, I mean, it's a great concept in, a fiction movie where, everybody in the end is happy, but in reality, this is a real impact on property values in one of our most high value property areas in the city of Fairfield. So I ask, is there an alternate location or some other way we can get this done without impacting these residents who have real concerns about their property values?
So in the rewriting of rules, there used to be a program, and bear with me here because I'm digging deep. They used to have a net meter aggregation. So where you had all your separate meters, and if you had disparate sites, you could aggregate the savings and participate in time of use. The state has gotten rid of that.
So let me ask you, what does that mean in just regular terms? What is that? Is that an answer to my question?
I think the short answer is no. There's no other place to put this from the standpoint of being able to locate a solar facility. We would buy the power. We're one of the highest energy users in the city. So we have the other treatment plant, but that has a solar field already.
So the answer is no. There's no other alternate location.
No.
Councilwoman Williams.
Michael, you're going to get me because I'm going to ask it a different way. Is there an area where it's not 5 acres, it's 2.5 acres, it's 2 acres? So there is a smaller footprint. So, of course, that means less benefit to ratepayers. Does that exist?
We'd have to go find a provider who, based on this model, it's a design build, it's a power purchase agreement, they'd have to go and financially model it to see whether or not there's a return on investment.
My other question is, and thank you. My other question is, Scott Eystein provided a whole packet, Scott. But with resolutions and a negative declaration, how does this line up against City of Fairfield responsibilities?
So the city owns the property. That we've got a title report we're ordering. We're doing a record of survey, and there really isn't any evidence that we can't do what we're doing on city property. Now that might be true to the west. There's the Rancho Solano HOA, the parcel to the west. To the north, there's Smith Ranch where the cattle graze. But from the standpoint of the title report and based on what we see, that doesn't apply to the city's property. And keep in mind, if we're saying we don't want anything to the north, we are also saying that when the time comes to expand the plant, regardless of whether it's a solar field or additional ponds or an additional clarifier that we need to add, what we're saying is we don't want any of that. And the city markets itself as a place for business that we can provide water-intensive users to attract. This is the plant that can do that.
And I didn't quite understand this when the residents brought it up. Something about the solar being on top of a building?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what building.
Yeah, I think I understand. Yeah.
That's big enough for what you need.
Yeah.
You don't even talk about that, I'll bring it up. You
I-
avoid it completely. And there's a parking lot.
Well, excuse me, we don't, no,
I know, but
no,
how are we gonna get the truth here? I mean, how?
we're going to be
You
coming,
can talk all he wants, and we're just sitting here, got 2 minutes.
sir, that's correct. And we will be coming back in a month, and you can come back and talk, and we're all going to come,
Take it down to 1 day, we don't know.
maybe.
That's not fair.
It is what it is.
Is that what your answer is? It is what it is.
That is my answer. If there's 40 people here that are going to speak, I'm not going to argue with you. But I'm just telling you, I'm trying to be fair to everybody. And if we're starting from the beginning for 2 minutes, we have to legally go through that way. So please understand my position. Thank you. Was there something else, Councilwoman?
Well, yeah, I was asking, Michael, I don't know if that's something we have to come back with, but I think it's something I was curious about.
I think I
Something I
understand.
was curious about. I don't know if you can answer it now, if you have to bring it back.
Sure.
I don't know.
No, I think I understand the nature of the question. And I'm going to speak to you all. I'm not going to speak to Mr. Guzman anymore. We've had some contentious conversations. And everything he knows is because I've called and shared with him. And he's telling me I'm lying. I guess that's his opinion. But when you look at the programming of the site, he talked about in a previous conversation, so I'm going to paraphrase here, why can't you build something so that you can have the solar panels over the cover? But we would have to build a cover over the entire facility. That wouldn't be very practical in my mind. If we had an existing cover, for example, like at a school district where they have covered parking, those would be places where you would look to add panels. You go to Kaiser, for example. But we wouldn't cover our facility. We have a cover, we have an active flow, but if you actually, the active flow between the facilities, active flow, and the other buildings, you're not going to get the acreage that you need, and you won't get the output that you need from a solar standpoint. And I'll speak to the glare, because I've told him that we've had a conversation about the glare, and I think he's mischaracterizing what I said. The glare, those panels are designed to absorb, not reflect. So what I said was we will spec anti-glare, but does that mean you get 100% no glare? I'm an engineer, I don't think I'd want to say that, but generally when you look at people's panels on their roof, doesn't glare. They're not designed to reflect, they're designed to absorb.
Okay. I want to make a couple of comments, and we are going to go forward to June and keep this public hearing open. I just want to say that I totally understand where the homeowners are coming from. My best girlfriend, that was her ranch before it was torn down and burned down, and your homes were built there. And I spent a lot of time up there, and it was always beautiful. More beautiful without the houses, I'll have to say. But you did buy those homes without those solar panels there or windmills. And I think, I'm not going to say it out loud here, but I think I might have a solution. And I'm going to talk to Michael and with the city manager, assistant city manager about it. I got an offer from somebody. So I'll talk about that. But I am very much leaning toward right now. I don't like it. I don't like this. I do also have the questions that Councilman Tonneson brought up, and that is that this is a lot of money, and for people who live in other districts, some who live 2 families to a house or 3, that amount of savings is a lot. And we have to think about everybody, but we don't need to, I don't believe in hurting a landowner or a homeowner to benefit even everybody else. That's kind of socialist, and I'm not about that. So that's where we are, and we will be bringing this back, and I will be talking to you about an idea that I have and an offer actually from a landowner.
Madam Mayor, if I may, I would recommend a motion to continue, just to formalize
Yes,
it.
so could I have a motion to continue then? I'll make a motion to continue. Could I have a second? Second.
And just to confirm, is that to June 4th?
Yes, it is, to June 4th. All in favor with that?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody who came. And so we're going to move on to item 14. Oh, I'm sorry, item 15 now. Yes.
Okay. Item 15, public hearing and resolution 2024-108 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield annexing territory Cement Hill Retail Center to Community Facilities District Number 2023-2, Train Station Specific Plan 2 as annexation number 1, authorizing the levy of a special tax within the annexed territory and submitting the levy of a special tax to the qualified electors thereof, and Resolution 2024-109 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield declaring the results of a special annexation election in territory annexed to Community Facilities District Number 2023-2, Train Station Specific Plan 2, determining the validity of prior proceedings and directing recording of amended notice of special tax lien for City of Fairfield Community Facilities District Number 2023-2, Train Station Specific Plan 2, Annexation Number 1, Cement Hill Retail Center. And our presenter again is Chris Lewis, Public Works Senior Management Analyst.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Hello. Before you tonight is annexation number 1 for the city, one of the city's newest CFDs, 2023-2. This district does fund public safety services, the operation and maintenance of public landscaping, parks, open space, and cemeteries in the train station specific plan area. The property proposed for annexation will be developed into a drive-through car wash, a convenience store, and a gas station. City Council initiated this annexation process on April 2nd with the adoption of Resolution 2024-64, and by conducting the public hearing, carrying out the ballot procedure, and adopting the proposed resolutions before you, Council will have completed the annexation process. Thank you.
All righty, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Do we have any public speakers?
This item, no. Did anyone wish to speak on item 15? No? Okay.
Nobody online either?
No.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion to approve resolutions 2024-108 and 2024
Oh, just the first one, because I have to open the ballots.
Okay, back to 2024-108 then, please. I'll make a motion. Could we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Okay, let me open ballot.
We can't do it.
I have 2 ballots, actually.
No.
Okay, the first ballot is 1 yes vote in favor of annexation.
So, are you opening another?
Oh, 1 more ballot.
Okay,
And another yes vote in favor of annexation.
all right. Do I need to vote again on those?
We need to take a motion to approve Resolution 2024-109.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for.
I'll entertain motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Great job, Chris.
You have,
Okay, item 16, public hearing and resolution 2024-110 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield authorizing the city manager to approve the purchase and use of military equipment in accordance with City Ordinance 2022-06. Sorry, and our presenter is Police Lieutenant Sam Rowland. Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, City Council, Madam Mayor.
Sam, are you going to have some interactive stuff we can shoot or anything?
Not tonight.
No.
Sir.
all right,
Okay.
then you have to leave.
Okay. I know everybody's tired. We'll get through this. So tonight, the presentation for our compliance with Assembly Bill 481, which is military equipment. The purpose of this is to talk about the compliance that we've had We have submitted an annual report to the council, conducted a city or a community presentation, and then we have some items on the agenda tonight for approval, new equipment to the police department. So just an overview, the law was passed in September of 2021 requiring approval by City Council for purchases of items deemed to be military equipment. So that's what we're coming here before you tonight. It also requires an annual report, a summary of the use of our equipment, any complaints or concerns, internal audits, cost, quantity, projected purchases, et cetera, and also to have a community meeting. You'll find that information in the report that was submitted along with the agenda report. What is military equipment? It's defined by law as unmanned, remotely piloted aerial or ground vehicles, so drones, also armored vehicles, tracked vehicles, command vehicles, any weaponized aircraft, firearms larger than .50 caliber, as you can see on the screen there, flashbangs, tear gas, pepper balls, also certain microwave weapons, water cannons, long-range acoustic devices, of which we have none, 40-millimeter projectile devices, beanbag rounds, other specialty munitions, or any other equipment that we determine to have oversight. So I'll just go through some of the items that we do have, so there's a little bit of a visual to what you see in the report in front of you. We maintain pepper ball launchers. We use those in multiple settings, and that fires an organic powder contained in a projectile, very similar to a pepper ball gun that we can use to gain compliance or deny area access. We also have less lethal shotguns, which fire beanbag rounds. The purpose of these weapons, as well as pretty much everything else that you will see tonight, is to reduce the amount of injury to a person arrested and also to prevent the loss of life. So in lieu of our shotguns, we converted them over to a less lethal shotgun that fires a beanbag round for pain compliance. And as you can see on the screen, there's policies that govern the use of each one of these items in addition to our military equipment policy. We have 40-millimeter launchers. These are used to fire impact rounds as well as chemical munitions depending on the operation or the tactical necessity. This is examples of the munitions that are fired from the 40 millimeters. We have CS gas, marking rounds, OC rounds that are all used dependent on the situation. Some could be used as an impact munition, and others are not fired at a person but into a building for a barricaded subject or something like that. We use flashbangs or noise flash diversionary devices. We use these in tactical settings when it would provide initiative for tactical teams, increase officer safety, so that we can cover movement without being seen. We have other specialty handheld munitions. These mostly consist of gas of some sort, chemical agent, or smoke. These are deployed primarily in barricaded subject, armed barricaded subject situations where it would not be safe to enter the home to make the arrest with a team of officers. We do have breaching shotguns. These are used in lieu of mechanical breaching to increase the speed at which a door could be breached in a tactical scenario, such as a hostage rescue situation. We use explosives for breaching as well. Explosives for doors and walls as a alternate method to breaching. If we couldn't use the shotgun, we couldn't use a manual breach. The explosive provides for a quick entry in a very controlled setting. The department has rifles for patrol as well as for the SWAT team. We have a patrol rifle program that involves additional training for the officers and ongoing training throughout the year. And our SWAT team trains twice per month. We have sniper rifles for our sniper team that is a part of the SWAT team. We have 4 of these Accuracy International 308 rifles. Pistol duty ammunition we did consider it specialty ammunition because it's for law enforcement, so that is part of the policy that we have. Many of you may be familiar with the Bearcat Armored Rescue Vehicle the department uses. This is used for surrounding calls, where we may be arresting somebody that we deem as a high-risk search warrant, and the department uses that vehicle for cover, also to make announcements from our crisis negotiators or announcements for people to come out. This surrounding call method is a safer method than doing a dynamic entry safe search warrant, so that's why we use this on those types of calls. We have a command post that we use for our drones and also communications and information that allows us to be out mobile in the field near the scene. A crisis negotiations trailer for our crisis negotiators. That's where they work out of, making the phone calls and doing research. A traffic DUI trailer that we use for DUI checkpoints also is considered military equipment. We have unmanned aerial vehicles. This is one of the pieces of military equipment that we use most often. We use these in searching for people who have maybe run from the police, for missing persons, or we've also used them for fires to gain intelligence. So a very, very good tool. It eliminates the need to put an officer in harm's way, and we can simply use the drone to do that. We also use drones on the interior of homes so that a SWAT team or another tactical team wouldn't have to search the home first. The drone can go in and clear, and that would reduce the risk of an armed confrontation inside a structure. The department also utilizes remote-controlled robots to similarly gather intelligence. They can be driven, obviously, through a structure or over some land. They have cameras, FLIR, and other capabilities, microphone, speaker, so that we can communicate and also gather intelligence without putting a police officer at risk. And then by not putting the police officer at risk, also, if there's a subject that we're trying to arrest, we provide for time, a method of communication, a way to gather information so that we're not rushing into something. Part of what you're asked to consider tonight, in addition to approving our annual ordinance on military equipment, is some new equipment to the department for 2024. That includes breaching equipment, some new chemical agent deployment tools for the SWAT team, and some upgraded drones for our technical support team. One of the items on the agenda is a CS gas mounting bracket for a robot. This allows for a robot to be driven into a structure where there's a barricaded subject, and we can deploy a chemical agent inside that structure without even having to fire a round from a 40-millimeter launcher, to have a police officer walk up to a window and hand deploy, or any other method. So this is all remote control, and it gives that time and the distance. Another item that we're asking for is CS gas launching shotgun capability. So there's some rounds that are involved in this that allow the projectiles to be fired. Also a launching cup that attaches to the end of the shotgun. So we currently have these shotguns in our inventory, and we would just be converting what we have to have the ability to launch the CS gas. There's some advantages that the SWAT team had identified to this method of deployment, and also the munition itself that we felt were worth bringing to your attention. Another item on the agenda are, we talked about the flashbangs, or the noise flash diversionary devices. There's a couple tools that we would request to purchase to deploy those items. And the reason that we would look at these is so that we don't have to hand deploy the items, and it reduces the risk of the device rolling to an unintended area, thus reducing potential injury or potential fire. It allows the device to be deployed directly, the noise flash diversionary device deployed from these devices, and we can control that exact moment of detonation as well as the location. Shotgun breaching rounds. The department has been using shotgun breaching for a number of years. We do have a policy that specifically governs it, and our SWAT team trains on it regularly. We're just looking to purchase additional rounds, and also just a different sub-model of round. You see the orange caps are for the wood doors, and the black caps are for industrial doors or metal doors. So again, just for that entry at the breech, we want to buy the appropriate munition. As I mentioned to you earlier, these are the launching cartridges for the shotgun that we wish to convert that allows that chemical munition to be projected from the shotgun towards the structure. The department's also requesting baffled CS smoke. This is a safer method of deploying CS gas, less risk of fire, and this is an additional device, this specific sub-model. These are all models that the department currently has something similar to. These are improved and reduce the risk of fire. And this is the launching cup that we talked about. We're also requesting the purchase of additional UAVs to replace some of the aging UAVs and to expand our capabilities. As I mentioned earlier, we use these tactically for missing persons, natural disasters, to assist with perimeters, especially when maybe a CHP air unit or helicopter is not available, and also to respond to crimes in progress. We'd like to decommission some of our old materials as we seek approval to purchase these new ones as well. Any questions?
All right, friends. Questions? Councilman Tonneson?
No, I thought that was a great presentation. That's what's the funnest one I've had tonight.
The funnest one? I just want to know why we don't have water cannons. Thank you. You don't have to answer that. Okay, anybody else? No. Okay, all righty then. So this is a
I do have one speaker. I
You
just
do
need
have-
I
okay.
just need you to open the public.
Yeah,
hearing.
I'm opening the public hearing.
Okay. Dorothy Riley.
Yes, I'm concerned about the violations of constitutional civil rights and liberties and a lack of expert oversight and police use of some of these items. Some of these items are for urban warfare, which are more appropriate for the National Guard or military. This increasing militarization of the police, and now with weaponized brain-to-computer interface and nanobiotech, I have personally experienced from police and FBI, COINTELPRO, psychopathic and sadistic behavioral issues in conjunction with psych warfare tactics and the human and sex trafficking and multidisciplinary experimentation I previously spoke of. We live in a police state facilitated by the FBI, FedIntel, and police agencies of illegal and warrantless surveillance. We are being completely monitored and are developing in ways similar to London, the most surveilled society in the world. The counter to police actions, that good things that are done, is countered by police committing crimes with impunity and the lack of adequate oversight. I have had what looks like a DJI Matrix 210 and DJI Mavic Mini drone surveil me, and this was way before light comms that I used, sitting outside on a patio of a hotel in September, October 2020, taking pictures of me. And I did nothing. I'd helped my ex with his court cases, but because I was helping him and challenging the judicial system, DAs and public defenders, I became a targeted individual. So where is the oversight when this is used to violate rights and illegally and warrantlessly surveil someone, harass, stalk them, and photograph them?
Martha, your time's up. Thank you.
I don't have any other speakers.
Anybody online? No?
No.
All right, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
And second, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, that was unanimous. Thank you, Lieutenant. And now we're moving on to
Item 17.
Yes,
Public
ma'am.
hearing and resolution 2024-111 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield approving the comprehensive user fee study and amending the master fee schedule for fiscal year 2024-2025. And our presenter is our Assistant City Manager, Savita.
your mic.
Thank you.
So we had gone through some previous presentations with council, and at the time, council gave us the direction to go and look at, study our user fees for the city. The staff went out and did an RFP proposal, and we hired a company called Wildan, and we have our consultant present here to answer any questions that we may have. The scope of the study was including most of our departments, like planning, public works, police, animal services. We also evaluated our special events and tech fees. Parks and Rec Department evaluated the facilities rentals as well as aquatic fees. Building fees and fire fees were not part of the scope for this particular exercise. So how did we go about the process? We started with an exercise and established the fee structure. What are the billable costs? According to the regulations, we are not allowed to exceed the cost that it is to the city, and we cannot generate additional revenue. It has to be the cost of the service. So we evaluated all of the salaries, schedules, all of the internal service fund costs, and then we started looking at developing our cost layers for various departments. And then we looked at the options where we're going to charge back full cost versus subsidy. So as we were reviewing this for our fee structure, our current fee structure has not been updated for many years. So we started evaluating which fees are going to be updated, which ones are we going to add, remove, or redefine, or are there anything that will stay status quo and not change? In addition to that, we also confirmed that we can legally defend these fees. As we defined these fees, we developed two models. One was cost recovery and one was subsidized fees. We also conducted a cost recovery analysis, and this chart shows what fees remain at the current level for a particular department, number of fees that were increased, decreased, or the fees that were added. This chart also explains the last time the fees that they were updated. So for example, police fees have not been updated since 2008. Tech fees since 2009. Planning and public works have not been updated since 2014. And special events fees were updated at 2021, but this fee study just readjusted those to the current billable rates. For the tech fee, that was a special case because this can only cover certain areas of the building fees, and it can only recoup the cost. The only reason this is going up is because we're replacing our planning and permitting software, so there are additional storage costs as well as licensing costs. That is causing the increase to go up by 0.82%. We also did comparisons with our neighboring cities. So as you can see, even after increasing our fees, we are either at par or lower compared to our neighboring jurisdictions. Again, we looked at most common fees. The challenge with the fees is because every city has different salary structures, so it can never match dollar for dollar with the neighboring cities. This chart again also shows even after we increase, our proposed fees are still at par or lower than our neighboring jurisdictions. After the fee study, we also conducted what would be the expected revenue increase, and that is estimated to be about $800,000 to $1 million for the fees that were just discussed. In addition to this, staff also looked at Parks and Rec fees. Those fees have not been updated since 2017. On the April-March study session, council directed our Parks and Rec department to go back and evaluate the fees. We presented it again on the April 9th meeting. The suggestion was to increase aquatic fees from $6 to $10, and at council's direction, it was reduced to $8. The facility fee, again, based on the council direction on April 9th meeting, they are increased based on compounded 5-year CPI. Some of the adjustments that we have completed after we did the April 9th session. So we looked at different departments, and every department was making the change to their fees on a different schedule. Some were updating them in April, some in July, some in December. So with this proposal, that the fees that are proposed with the staff report are requesting that the CPI index would be the average of the three areas, as well as across the city, we will be considering the CPI values from April of the preceding year to the April of the current year, so we all can update our fees at the same time. We have had 2 study sessions where we talked about fees. We had also published the notice of public hearing. We also send written notices to the organizations that have requested the city to provide written notifications, as well as we did a website notification. All of the proposed fee schedules were published 14 days in advance. And now we're open to questions.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing.
And Dorothy Riley would like to speak again.
All righty.
Yes, I read from the book that part of the Fairfield Police Department mission statement is to have a partnership with the community to reduce harm by
Excuse me, Dorothy, we have to stick to the subject here, okay?
Oh, yes, I got this from the book, from this title.
From this item?
Item 17.
We're on item 17.
Yes, user fee schedule.
Okay, very
Yeah,
good.
it's in the book up in the office.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. And quality of life in Fairfield. A reverence for human life and the highest degree of ethical and professional conduct, guided by the Constitution, safeguarding the lives and property of the people they serve, and enforcing the law and reducing harm. So my question is, well, I've been here over the last couple weeks. I'm dealing with a fraudulent court case against me. I've had so many sheriffs and police come up to me and mock me, harass me, trying to intimidate me. And how is that anything I just said? How is that part of the mission statement when false mental health claims are made against someone? And I have many articles on the historical significance of that. Women who speak up against the men who control the money, tech, and police, they'll just declare you insane. So how is illegal and invalid 5150 kidnapping and hostage situations, because that's what it is, to illegally kidnap someone, assault them, and hold them hostage after terrorizing them. These COINTELPRO-ops and these tactics of gaslighting and harassment, intimidation, following me, the psych warfare tactics involved with vehicle mapping, people mapping, how does this correlate with this mission statement when I'm just trying to survive and live my life and clear my name?
I understand, Dorothy. If you want to make a complaint, we do have complaint forms. If it happens to be one of our police officers, and you can talk, our police chief is here if you'd like to speak with them.
I've tried that in other areas, and I've been subjected to extraordinary abuse, and it doesn't seem like it goes anywhere.
We don't do that here in Fairfield. We don't.
Well, they are. But
Okay, well, thank you. No, I'm not, no, we don't do that, but thank you. Anybody else?
No other speakers.
All right, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to bring it back.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, you guys, good job tonight. Thank you. And we are closed until May 21st, 2024. Thank you, everybody.
I won't be.